Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast on this beautiful day in May 2025. Get that context in there. It's May 2025. Enjoy it. I am Michael Huber. We are Easy Allies, and this is the Easy Allies podcast. We're here to talk about what's new, what's news, and what we've been playing. But first, let me introduce everybody. Daniel Bloodworth.
Yo.
What is up?
Back from Poland.
Back from Poland.
Been running around all over the place.
Back from Poland. What an epic place to visit, dude.
Yeah.
It's so
I made the most of it. I got
That's all you can do.
had a lunch with one other person that's there that wasn't part of my, planned trip.
Yeah.
Had dinner with one person, had lunch at CD Projekt Red with Paris.
Nice.
And we got a tour of the campus.
So
and
fun.
Then I had asked one of my contacts, like, who else should I see since I'm there? And they told me about a studio that was, like, within walking distance of my hotel.
Yeah.
That's, pretty much brand new. Couldn't even see their game yet, but got to beat them.
Wow.
So
Humble brag.
I'm just making the most of my time. I went out there a day early so I could do some stuff because 11-bit, they had us locked down from like 9 in the morning until after midnight.
Lockdown, dude. Lockdown. We are also joined by Michael Damiani.
Hey, this is the second week in a row, Huber, that you've said like beautiful day, LA weather. So last week, 100-degree weather plus here. Since that time, Huber, a tornado came within a mile of where I live.
Good grief.
I had to take shelter and take cover. So thunderstorms and tornadoes all around
so
here.
Intense.
Yeah, it sucks.
It does. Have you seen the film
Scary.
Take Shelter with Michael Shannon?
No, I have not.
Great film. Great movie. Also, good Yankees win today, brother. 1-0.
1-0
Always nice.
over the Rangers. Good. Yeah.
And last, and certainly not least, very special guest, Chris Kramer.
Howdy, everybody.
Howdy. How are you?
We do not have tornadoes in the San Francisco Bay Area, so
For real.
Worst thing I got to worry about is Carl the fog and maybe the occasional earthquake.
Yeah. I lived in San Francisco for a while, and I like to tell people it is the coldest place on Earth. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, there's that famous quote that may or may not be Mark Twain that says, "The coldest winter of my life was the summer I spent in San Francisco."
There it is. Hemingway. Man, it might have been Twain, honestly. I might be misquoting. It was either Hemingway or Twain.
I think it's attributed to Twain, but it's maybe not actually him. But whatever. Fair enough.
Yeah, I love those quotes. Ben Franklin said this. I'm like, no, never happened.
Luke, I'm your father.
The Miyamoto quote's the best one, right? The delayed game.
I think that one's real, but they twisted around now, yeah.
Oh, he didn't know the whole thing. He didn't even originate it. They tracked it back to
he didn't even originate it?
It's from like the early 90s and possibly even before then in game development. Like, it was worded differently. It's crazy. Yeah. Someone did a pretty good breakdown of it. Anyway, yes.
That's
on today's show, little rundown.
We got some other people here, too.
We do. Wow. How rude of me. I'm sorry, Don Casanova.
Anything? Shout out to that San Francisco fog. Chris has got me thinking of that San
Oh,
Francisco fog. The best in the
fog.
world. That's some world-class fog. I'm loving it. Shout out to that fog.
World class. London and San Fran, dude.
That's
World
it.
class. And of course, Gabby Montoot.
She's waving and saying hi.
I heard that. Hello. That's excellent. Everybody make sure you go see Sinners before it's on digital next month. It's already coming to digital too soon. That's a theater movie. I'm telling you right now, if you see Sinners for the first time on TV instead of a theater, I'm bummed. I'm bummed out. You're going to bum me out.
I'm going to bum Huber out.
Yep, that's it. I'm bummed. All right, on the show today, we are going to try to get some stories out of Mr. Chris Kramer about his 30 years in the biz. Shout out, dude. Legendary. Also, what you've been playing. A couple games you've been playing. We're also going to be talking about Onimusha 2. dropping today. Very excited to talk
Huber's
about
so
that.
excited that he dropped a
Yeah.
TMNT
Yeah.
game.
I didn't. Because I only played Turtles a little bit.
Yeah.
We have a pretty stacked show, and I don't want to shortchange Onimusha 2 because this is a franchise that needs all the love and respect and support that it can muster. Also, Blood has been playing Tanuki Pawn's Summer.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's the PAX build.
Crazy.
Because you just like, are you coming to PAX? And I'm like, nah, I've got 2 other trips I couldn't make it. And it's like, okay, here's the PAX demo. I'm like, what? He just sent it to me. I'm like, okay, cool.
All right. And also Deliver at All Costs you've been playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. And then, of
stuff.
course, and then beautifully, we have the April sales report. Dive into that. All right, let's get started. Chris Kramer, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, it is such a pleasure. We had John Gibson last week, and John Gibson, gave you a shout out name drop. So it's actually funny that he was on last week and you're on this week.
Yeah, kismet. It's like we plan things, but we actually don't. That's how the video game industry works, actually.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little background and history of maybe the games you've worked on and how you got started in the industry?
Oh man, yeah, it's funny. I was actually looking this up ahead. I went on Moby Games to look at my credits. I'm currently listed on 99 different games on Moby Games.
Wow.
That's missing a pretty good chunk of games that I've worked on throughout my career.
Wow. So over 100.
Yeah. I mean, and just I've been super lucky over the years where I've just managed to work on, the original Resident Evil. I helped bring the Street Fighter brand back with Street Fighter 4. I've worked on League of Legends. I've worked on Fortnite. I've worked on Pokemon Go. You can find dog tags with my name and blood type in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, I remember that.
Hell yeah.
Just a lot of weird stuff. And also, before there were things like animated GIFs and memes, Wayne Brady sang a song to me about video games on Whose Line Is It Anyways back in June of 2001 when I was at Daily Radar and had flowing long hair like Mr. Bloodworth.
That rules. You said the magic words Resident Evil. Do you have any stories about the development of that first one that you can share?
Yeah, it was so I was just a baby publicist, brand new to the games industry. I had actually started in games industry in a role that no longer exists. I was hired as a game counselor right after.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
So I was one of those dudes who somebody would get stuck on, Chippendale Rescue Raiders, and they wouldn't know how to get through the boss fight. And they look on the back of the manual. There was a phone number, and they called up, and I'd be the guy on the phone, walking them through which form of Dr. Wily's attack you need to use Batman on, or
cool
stuff like that. So I did that for a couple of years, which was a pretty amazing way to break into the games industry, and then convince the awesome PR team there that they should hire me because there's only so many phone calls about Street Fighter you can take before you want to kind of do something else. So I was like a baby publicist, and we got first very, very early build for Resident Evil where it was literally a low poly model of Chris.
Oh my goodness.
Walks into 2 rooms, and in the second room, there's like a low poly model of the giant snake. And even as kind of rough as that was, we got super excited. We're like, this is going to be huge. And, I kind of made my mark as a PR guy in the games industry with Resident Evil. I attached myself to it like a pilot fish, and spent the next 2 years working and promoting it within the games industry. So it was really interesting that, working on that game. And I had a small hand in naming Resident Evil, actually. So at that time, when that was early 90s, there was a PC game that was out called Biohazard. And so I brought that up to the person who ran marketing in the US at the time. I said, hey, we won't be able to get a trademark for this. There's already a game called Biohazard in the US. We're going to have to change the name, because that was something we did in the 90s was we changed the names of Japanese games, and we changed the characters and stuff all the time. And she said, okay, what are we going to call it? And I said, I don't know. She said, what should we do? I said, well, we have all these creative people. Let's have a contest, and we'll have people submit names, and then we'll vote on the favorite name. And one of the guys who was in the very early dev team in the US came up with Resident Evil because he thought it was a funny pun, and everybody else thought it was a funny pun. And I won't lie, I thought it was the dumbest name. I was like, I can't call it this. It's so dumb. I'm like, what if the next game isn't in a house? How is that going to make any sense? And they're like, shut up, Kramer. And here we are. And
here we are.
Yeah, so
170 million franchise sales. I think we went over last episode of the pod.
And all the movies and CG movies and toys and all sorts of stuff. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, that's so awesome. But I know you have some questions here, man.
Yeah. Well, one, just like on a personal terms, I'm trying to see if you have any memory of like when we actually got to know each other, because it's like it's like you're just like one of those names where it's like you've just been there forever,
like a barnacle just stuck inside of the games industry.
So like I don't even know if it was like at game trailers or before game trailers or what, if you have any memory whatsoever of an event that we were both at or what.
I honestly don't know, because same thing for me. You've just always been there in my memory at this point in time. So I'm pretty sure it was at game trailers, because we spent a lot of time at different teams I was with at Sony Online. And then again, when I went back to Capcom, we spent a lot of time supporting game trailers. We were really into it because it was so hard to get video out to people. And that's really,
Yeah, you did a lot with Rich Brown, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, a ton with Rich.
Shout out.
Rich was awesome. And like, Jeremy, who's been at Epic now for years and years, and hell, even Mr. Keeley himself was doing stuff with game trailers for a long time. So, I really loved working with the game trailers team. There were a lot of the folks, like if I would be in LA for press tour or out on events, there was usually several folks from game trailers working off my bar tab.
So you're Capcom for a while, and you were in some other places, and then you went back to Capcom. Yeah, what are some of those other spots that you were in?
Yeah, I left Capcom. I went to PlayStation really briefly. I was really only there 6 or 8 months. I didn't do much. I wrote the press release about PlayStation's first Christmas sales number in its first year. So like I had to put out a press release about how well PlayStation was doing in its first year on its first Christmas. So that was literally the PS1. And I was like, man, I don't like that. So I went to 3DFX and worked at 3DFX for several years. And that's actually how I got into the games media. Was I ran PR at 3DFX, and then eventually convinced the president of the company that since there was an official PlayStation magazine, there was an official Dreamcast magazine, there was an official this, that, or the other, we should do an official 3DFX magazine. And he said, who's going to run that? It should probably be you. And that's how I got fired from PR and hired into games media, like literally on that day. So, so I ran the official 3DFX magazine for 2 years, and then was very, very fortunate to join the Daily Radar team in 99 and 2000 with like just, you looking back now, it's like a stacked crew of amazing people. Like Frank O'Connor was my direct boss. Frank ran the Halo franchise for 20 plus years. Aaron Loeb, who's been in development and has done all sorts of cool things. Dan Erickson, who I just saw at GamesBeat this week, who's, was on the Star Wars Online game from the BioWare guys, and just a ton of really talented people at Daily Radar. Before that blew up, when the internet collapsed. I don't know if you guys know this, but in 2000 the internet died. So if you had an internet job, you suddenly needed to go back into PR, or else you weren't going to be able to afford your house payment. So I transitioned back into PR, and from there worked at Konami briefly, long enough to be in the credits for Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, and a bunch of other really cool games. And then from there, and went on Sony Online for launches of EverQuest 2 and Star Wars Galaxies, and DCUO, and then back to Capcom, boomerang back to Capcom 13 years after I left. So I came back in to help reboot Street Fighter. Worked on Street Fighter 4, Resident Evil 5, Devil May Cry 3, 4. Which one introduced Dante? I've lost track of the numbers.
I think 4. You're talking
4
about
is Nero.
Yeah,
Nero. Sorry, yeah, Nero.
Yeah.
So yeah, just worked on a ton of cool stuff there, and then I jumped into working on the PR agency side, and that's where I got to work with really cool stuff like League of Legends and Pokemon Go and Fortnite and Mortal Kombat and on and on and on and on and on.
How do you feel when you see some of these franchises that are just still going strong that you worked on like back in the day, like Silent Hill 2, the remake just came out?
Yeah.
Like what do you think of that stuff?
I was like, probably not in the credits on that one, I would guess. I was actually really excited about that because there was so much stuff that was cut out of Silent Hill 2, the original, when that game originally launched on PlayStation and Xbox. In order to get it out on time, there was a lot of stuff that was trimmed out of the game just so they could finish it and literally, burn the gold disc and get it pressed and on store shelves in time, because they had to get that out ahead of Metal Gear Solid 2, as you can imagine.
Right.
And I think a lot of the loose threads from the storyline got picked up and reconnected
So cool.
in the remake. So I actually haven't gone back to that yet. It's on my ever-growing pile on Steam of things I will play at some point.
Too many games.
Yeah, it blocks out the sun at this point. I have so many games.
Yeah, my favorite thing in that category is and Silent Hill 2 remake is one of them. Things that I have downloaded.
Yeah.
And like sitting on the home screen of my PS5.
There.
Like
it's there.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Whenever I get some amount of time, I can click that button and play it.
Yeah. When you stop playing all those other games, Daniel, and get back to this game in particular.
If I have a week off from the podcast somehow, right?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of the games I've worked on now are getting like HD remasters.
Yeah, MGS3 Delta coming out.
Yeah, brought back all together. I'm waiting for, Capcom slowly working its way back through all the Resident Evil titles. So I'm sure eventually we're going to get to Resident Evil 5. So.
Yeah, I'm ready for the Resident Evil remake. Let's go.
I thought Hubert was going to ask how those originals stole.
yeah, seriously,
he just wants the original set free.
God, I know the only Resident Evil 1, or I mean, they're on GOG, but like put those, those original Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 on consoles.
Man, I don't know.
Crazy.
That may be something that lives best in our memories.
No way.
He replays them.
The original Resident Evil 2 is my
year,
favorite game ever made.
No
question.
It was in 1996. Or
Still is every day.
Man, that's crazy.
I do like the remake of Resident Evil 1 more than the original Resident Evil 1, but Resident Evil 2, the original, is my favorite game. Still holds up.
All right.
Still perfect.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Tank controls and all.
Tank controls. Yeah. Woo, that was tough. Oh, you asked for random memories about Resident Evil. So when Resident Evil came out, the version of the game that came out in Japan was very different from the version that came out in the US. And that's because late in the development, like we had gotten a Gold Master candidate from Japan to take to PlayStation for review. And so we did what we always did is, we play it before we take it over. and we noticed that there was a ton more ammo. There was a ton more
Oh, yeah.
ribbon cartridges. There were more typewriters around. There were less zombies and stuff. And me and Corey and Robert, who were
Crank
guys
it up.
who had also come up in game counseling, we went to the president of Capcom US. We're like, hey, they're going to kill this. They made it too easy. The thing about this game is that it's hard, and you like you make decisions and you suffer for those decisions. You know, this is way before Souls-like games, right? And so he talked to the folks in Japan, and they're like, Japanese players don't want games that are so hard. They want something they can finish in a weekend, was what we were told in Japan at that time. And we had to write a letter that the three of us signed that said, please roll all this back, go back to the amount of ammo, enemies, and stuff that was in the build before Gold Master. So that's we literally
Thank you for your service.
We literally made things harder for American players. And that's
thank you so much.
Yeah. But,
seriously, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Right. But you know who else also thanked us? Was Blockbuster. Blockbuster was like,
yeah,
hey, we're super glad you guys did that, because now people have to rent this game longer and we make more money on it instead of people finishing it in the weekend.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's
beautiful. That's so good. Dude, I have you to thank for Resident Evil. Yes. And it's so funny you mentioned Souls, because even before, like, I don't equate it to a Souls, but I always say that Resident Evil was kind of the first game that where the lore existed outside of the video game for me, where I would think about it in real life, of like real life stuff. Just it, like there were so many holes that you could use your imagination to kind of fill in. And I just love that about that game.
Yeah, it was tough, because most of the lore was delivered in pre-rendered CG cutscenes, which had to be really short because of, the nature of storage on a CD on PlayStation 1, even though I think it was 2 discs when it came out. I believe it was 2 discs. Yeah, because you got 1 disc with Chris and 1 disc with Jill. If you didn't get those short cutscenes, it was all text. You'd read letters or journals, and stuff like that. So that's where you got the famous, itchy tasty quote.
Itchy tasty.
Itchy tasty.
Classic. So good.
Yeah. I've been gone from Capcom for a long time, but that was my first job right out of college. I'm a diehard Capcom fan. That's what I literally was driving. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a games industry when I was 23 right out of college, and I just happened to be driving to a terrible temporary job. And across the street there was a sign with the Capcom logo, and at lunch I walked over there and I was like, hey, what happens here?
What do you guys do?
And I was like, I love Capcom and I love all its games and I will do anything to work here. I'm like, what do you need me to do? Do you need me to sweep? Do you need me to clean toilets? Do you need me to deliver mail? I'll do whatever. And the receptionist was very kind, and she laughed and she's like, I think we might actually have something for you. Bring me a resume tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And I went home that night and I was like, talking to my roommates, I was like, how do I make a resume? And I came back in the next day, dropped my resume off as soon as they opened the doors at 9 a.m. and then went to the temp job and quit. I'm like, I'm getting hired by Capcom. I don't want this job.
So cool.
That's why I'm rocking a Demon's Crest shirt, one of my favorite old school Capcom games.
Sick.
I don't know if you
also was famously had weeks when it was returned more than it was bought, right? Isn't that the one?
I think that might have been Mega Man Soccer.
Wow.
But
no, I thought Demon's Crest was one too.
It's possible. Yeah. The didn't get a lot of love, except we loved playing it internally. It was, it was one of those they made a Super Nintendo game about an enemy from Ghouls and Ghosts that you see for 2 seconds in Ghouls and Ghosts. And Super
well, they had that Game Boy game too.
Yeah. But man, I love that game. That was when we worked in customer service, we would, sometimes you'd be on the phone, but you'd also just be playing some of the Capcom games just to keep yourself familiar with all the titles. And that was kind of like my comfort food when I was stuck on calls with people who were like yelling at me because Wizardry 5 on Super Nintendo was unplayable, and stuff like that.
Right. What are like positively or negatively like some of the things that like you saw coming up, but then like you were totally wrong, like something that just broke out to be a hit that you thought was going to be a failure, or vice versa?
Yeah, that's a great question, Daniel, because I can come across really self-confident and state things that make it sound like it's absolute fact, and I have research to back me up. I went to, when I was on the media side very early, I got invited by Nintendo to go to the E3 conference in Atlanta. So it was either the third or fourth E3, either the first or second one in Atlanta. And, this was the era of Nintendo press conferences where Miyamoto would come out dressed like Link, and the games media would come to their feet and start applauding and crying, stuff like that. So it was a real pro era, let me tell you. But that I remember vividly at that press conference, they introduced Pokemon for the first time. And they're like, we have this new thing. It's coming out this year. There's a cartoon, there's a game. We think it's going to be the biggest thing ever. And they showed like an extended montage of the cartoon the anime before it hit in Japan. And then they showed a bunch of stuff from the game. And I just remember the media were like sitting there, like looking at each other, like, the hell is this? We're not like, give us Mario and Link and Star Fox. What is this weird anime garbage? Nobody. And I turned to this guy in the media who was sitting next to me, this guy, Steve Kent. Steve Kent has written a number of amazing books on the history of video games. Steve used to be the Nintendo beat reporter for the Seattle newspaper. So Steve was like the be-all, end-all. He was the authority for Nintendo's business in the U.S. And I was like, Steve, what do you think? And he goes, man, this is Nintendo's first mistake. This will never work in the U.S. It'll never. I'm like, man, this is too weird for our market. I'm like, this might work in Japan. I don't think it's going to work anywhere else. So whenever people think Kramer knows what he's talking about, Kramer also thought that Pokemon was going to be a huge disaster in the US.
Now it's the number one like franchise of all time. Basically.
People who don't even know what video games are have like Pikachu tattoos, right?
Right. That's crazy.
Good. So good.
Talk about what you're doing now, because you're with Level Infinite. You got like Dune Awakening, and also like Dark Tide, and also some other stuff. And it's like it's kind of all over the place, and also talk about like why Level Infinite even exists as like a sub-label. It's like, why is it not just Tencent anyways? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the group I work with is called Level Infinite. We're a gaming publishing brand that's owned by Tencent. And Level Infinite operates globally. So basically, what it is the brand that is designed to get to the gaming audience that Tencent really wasn't addressing before, because Tencent was primarily a mobile gaming company. That's really where the company's roots are, and to this day is where still most of our money and hundreds of millions of our players are. It's crazy. But the Level Infinite brand was kind of put together to help some of the studios that Tencent's invested in over time, who are part of the family, and help them with their needs in different countries. So like here in the US, I'm working with a bunch of our studios. So I'm working with the Fat Shark guys on Warhammer Vermintide 2 and Warhammer 40K Dark Tide. We're working with the Shark Mob guys on Exoborn, working with Funcom on Dune Awakening, which has been really fun. I'm a huge Dune nerd.
Hell yeah.
They've got a great dev team. All the people at Funcom are super cool. But we're also helping them out with everything they do, right? So we work with them on their Conan titles, and we helped launch Metal Hellsinger, which
which was
one of the coolest game events I've been involved with, where the Funcom guys put on a metal concert at Gamescom, and they had all these like super famous metal vocalists come out, and we did a whole show, and it was pretty rad. Like I think like 5 or 6 thousand German kids losing their minds to this metal Hellsinger rock show. So work with those guys, and then on and on and on. We do support across a number of different titles. So we're really, we're helping our studios to make sure they're getting the word out on their game, and reaching players, and helping them navigate things like Summer Game Fest or the Game Awards or Gamescom, and just and where we are with games media in general these days.
Right. Yeah, what are some of those big changes that you've seen? Of course, you've basically seen the whole history of how games media has evolved.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. When I first started, back to Resident Evil, the way we got screenshots to people was we literally made slides, slides, and I would send sheets of slides to Next Gen magazine or Ultra Game Players or Game Pro or official PlayStation magazine. And I still remember at one point I was talking to Mike Salmon. I think he was at Ultra Game Players at that time. They were trying to do some big feature on Resident Evil, and he's like, Kramer, we didn't get the slides. We didn't get the slides. And I was like, I sent them to you 2 days ago. He's like, FedEx lost them. We can't find them. I was like, well, I'm like, hey, Mike, do you have AOL? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I think I can send some screenshots to you on AOL. He's like, how do we do that? And it's literally like I'm turning on the 14.4 modem that was connected to the PC on my desk. And I'm like, I think I have these files and I can scan them and send them to you. And it was the first time I sent screenshots digitally. And I was like, well, this is a lot better than having slides printed. So here's to progress. The internet's not bad for everything, right? Sometimes it means you can send your screenshots faster.
It's got its benefits for sure.
Yeah, I remember probably around that same amount of time, some of the first videos that I saw, IGN. And I was at a friend's house, right? I didn't have internet, but once in a while I'd find a friend that had internet. And I was at a friend's house for during summer camp. And I remember waiting something like 4 or 5 hours.
Buffering.
To download a video.
One video, dude.
Of Extreme G.
Hell
right?
Yeah. Shout out.
Worth every minute.
Bring it back.
And this thing was probably 120 pixels.
Yep.
And
that game's
15
moving fast.
seconds long.
Dude, love Extreme G. Thank you, Bloodworth. It's always a good day when we shout out Extreme G.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about game trailers and working with you so closely back in those days. I'll tell you, I was at Sony Online and we had just put together this huge feature in PC Gamer, a cover feature on EverQuest 2 for the launch of EverQuest 2. So the cover, actually it wasn't PC Gamer, it was Computer Gaming World. It was the other one. And Jeff Green was a huge fan of EverQuest and really believed in us. And he believed in us so much that he had to choose between 2 games to put on the cover that month, and he chose EverQuest 2 and not World of Warcraft.
Just a small little game, no big drama.
That was maybe not a good call for Jeff, but it was great for us.
EverQuest 2 is still an absolute classic.
I still get the press releases.
Yeah.
For EverQuest 2. They're still doing it.
Hell yeah.
There's still hundreds of thousands of people playing EverQuest 2, cranking on it.
Yeah.
But we got the physical copy of the magazine, and so I ran to John Smedley, the president of the company. I ran to show Daddy, how good his kids were. And I was like, look, John, it was like a 12-page feature. We're on the cover. Everything was great. It was like a glowing review. And Smed's looking through the magazine. He's flipping pages like this. He's he looks up at me, he goes, Kramer, I need you to invent a way to make the screenshots move on the page because these don't do justice, and really only video does the game justice. And he was like, "Whoosh," and just kind of tossed the magazine aside.
Wow.
Well, I'm
No.
like, there went about 3 months of my team's work right there, asking to invent e-ink for SMED for Computer Gaming World.
I still subscribe to PC Gamer. I still get hard copies
Yeah, of
every
course.
month. Yep.
Man, that
Got
magazine,
to.
like, it's amazing. So many iterations, and is still,
Still kicking.
man, what Evan and that whole crew do, not only on a monthly basis, but I love their website too. They have
Same.
they really have like a voice and voice,
I agree.
which is good because so much of the big platforms tend to be pretty monotone in
Yep.
their voice. They try to have almost
100%.
like an editorial direction, like they're the New York Times, and it's refreshing to like just read the weird stories on PC Gamer.
Yep.
I love they do a lot of like here's a bonkers thing that happened to me in this weird game that I picked up on Steam that you've never.
Totally. And like always in the back of the magazine, they have like revisiting old classics. Some people have never played it and they're revisiting a classic, or like some people have played it a million times and they're revisiting it. Just always, really good commentaries in the back.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, kind of like picking up on that thread of the changes, like when we were at Game Trailers, we were one of the few places you could publish a trailer, right? And now it's like you guys have to kind of wrangle these whole like video production teams and outsource all this stuff, and like you're actually like creating a lot of that content yourselves.
Yeah. I mean, most game companies these days have almost, their own internal PC Gamer or IGN, right? They have people creating content. If you look at Xbox, they have a stable of X Media and X Games Media guys who literally help them produce content on a daily basis.
Yeah, Tina and Meanie producing the developer
and
direct and all of that.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of people who are former games media who work at Xbox, and it's really smart because Tina can sit down and do like a totally legit interview with Sarah Bond, and it's an awesome interview, and everybody enjoys it. But that is 100% a product of Xbox, so it works well for them. What we really liked about Games Trailer, and it seems so quaint now, was that you guys actually had view counts on the trailers, and nobody else did. So like if we gave a trailer to GamePro or GameSpot or somebody, we had no idea if 50,000 people had seen that or 10. And it was really nice to be able to look at game trailers and go, oh, okay, great. This is blowing up. 10,000 people have looked at this in the hour since we put it up or something like that. That was.
Yeah, and I remember the team also like they made like physical awards to send out. Like if your trailer like crossed like 1 million views or something like that, then they would send you like this glass thing with like a plaque inside of it and everything.
I think I do remember loading 1 or 2 of those into the trophy case at Sony Online at one point. But I don't know how many trailers other than the TGAs get produced these days. Or I'm sorry, how many awards other than the TGAs get actually made. I think most awards you get now are a JPEG that you can download and put on your website.
Crazy.
Let's get into a couple of crazy ones.
Oh, we love this.
So people see PR generally as like spin doctors, right?
Yeah.
So you'd like, kind of bend the truth to make it the most like pleasing outcome or whatever, right? Of your company. So no matter how bad the situation might be. So how do you clear up a misconception about that without that also feeding into the fact that you're a spin doctor?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, a good chunk of work on the PR side is very similar to what y'all do, right? Because on the PR side, you're telling stories, you're trying to connect with people. specifically in video games, I work primarily in, what would be considered product PR as opposed to corporate PR, right? I'm not the guy who is running the quarterly calls for Tencent because honestly, I would screw that up. So I don't. I'm not doing a whole lot of executive and C-suite level stuff. I'm the dude who's talking to people about video games. And so for what I do, and my colleague Mari and our team at 47 who supports us, we're trying to help tell the story about the game in a way that's interesting to the media so the media can help tell that story ultimately to the players. So we're trying to find a way to engage media and interest media so that they write or post or create a video in a way that's going to then interest the people who are eventually hopefully going to wish list it on Steam or pre-order it on the PlayStation Store. So, spin doctors and stuff like that, I think that's a phrase that is more, when you think about that, you're thinking mostly of people who are working in politics or on the
Michael
side.
Clayton.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And for us and what we do, we are really trying to, in many ways, empower our dev studios and help them help themselves, right? We help them tell their story. So we make sure that when they're talking about their game, they're talking about it in a way that's coherent and interesting. I will tell you, one time at Daily Radar, I had a friend who was in PR at Interplay, and she called me up and she's like, "Hey, I know we didn't book a meeting, but I've got a dev in town, and we want to show you this Star Trek turn-based strategy game that was based on a Star Trek miniatures game." And I was like, "Oh, okay." She called me because she knew I was a Trekkie, and I was like, "Whatever, I'll check it out." And the guy came in, and the dude on the dev team who was giving the demo to me couldn't be bothered, didn't care, didn't want to be there, didn't want to be showing his game, didn't really. He's like, "Oh, you know what this board game is? Have you ever played it?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I know what it is, but I've never played it." He's like, "Oh, great. No, I guess I have to explain this whole thing to you." And I was like,
Oh my God.
"Cool." And
Should I leave?
Yeah. I mean, and this demo happened in 1999, and I still remember it as the single worst developer demo I have ever sat in. And I was like, whatever I do for the rest of my career, this will never happen. Like, I will never let any of my guys be like this with media. So it's like if they're tired, if they're cranky, they're hungover, their blood sugar's low or whatever, take a break. It's like, here's some Advil, eat a Snickers bar, do a lap, get back in the game. Like, you can't like this. So this guy ended up, he gave such a terrible demo that the preview I wrote wasn't super complimentary. And it wasn't very exciting. I remember I'm like, this is like a Hail Mary game this little team at Interplay had done because they love this tabletop board game so much. And this guy just, he blew it. He blew it with us. And I was like, oh, sorry, and I think about that a lot. So when I'm spinning things, I'm mostly spinning, our producers, our art leads, our designers, all those kind of folks to make sure that their excitement about the game that they're working on is being translated. Because that's really tough too. Like every game we work on now, there's dozens to hundreds of people involved.
Yeah.
And every single one of those people are super focused and super passionate about the projects they're working on. And we need to make sure that comes through. So, yeah, sometimes there's me nudging people and being like, why don't we try saying it like this? We'll do run throughs and stuff like that, or demos. We'll prep, but ultimately, the preparation and all the messaging work and all that is so that when you have like a producer who can get up and has to like come do a demo for you guys at Summer Game Fest Playdays. He knows he can just kind of go, okay, I know the three things I really need to get across and I can talk about them. Because we have some guys, honestly. So if you look at Joel, who's the producer on Dune Awakening, that guy's amazing, amazing. He knows everything about his game. He knows everything about Dune. He has super deep thoughts about game development and the direction they're taking. And they're building a very, very interesting, intricate game, which is combining survival and MMO at a really challenging intersection. And he can talk about that stuff eloquently. Like he is focused on the art and the science of game development. Not everybody is like that, right? You don't always get a producer like Joel. Sometimes you get a guy who's like, hey, I'm the QA lead because nobody from the team can leave right now because we're on a milestone. And I have never spoken to anybody, and I have social anxiety, and also I would like to go home. So we gotta we gotta help those guys so that they don't deliver a kneecapping to their own project with like a terrible demo.
Yeah. Damiani, you have anything you want to get in there?
I mean, I have only two things. One, you might not be able to say anything about this because I didn't realize when you brought up what you're currently doing, because another one of the studios I think that's under your umbrella at Tencent, you may have worked with. I'm going to assume so. Lightspeed Studio that worked on PUBG Mobile.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're working on a game called Final Fantasy 14 Mobile. And I was wondering, it got its release date, but it's only for China. It was like,
what's it called?
Have you Final Fantasy 14 Mobile?
Oh, Final Fantasy 14 Mobile.
Yeah. Have you even seen anything of it? Like, you don't have to obviously say anything.
I have not. I know
Okay.
it's a big deal, and it's been in production for a while, and they're super excited about it. But that's not something that I don't believe that's going to be coming through our Level Infinite team.
Okay.
So it's not on my radar. I do know it's happening. Lightspeed, Tencent has four internal development teams. They're a lot more than internal development. They're four big giant studios. So you have Lightspeed that is super famous for PUBG Mobile. And then you have Timmy, who is famous for Call of Duty Mobile, but more famous for Honor of Kings, which has 100 million people playing it every day, which is staggering if you think about it.
Insane.
And then there's More Fun, who you might know from Arena Breakout that they recently put out. And there's another studio called Aurora that's bigger in like Southeast Asia and through the APAC region. But those are like big, giant dev studios. They're essentially Tencent's like Naughty Dog or something along those lines.
Cool. I was trying to be like, if you ever hear anything and like, or you get to work on it, and you're like, don't forget about it. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely down to check out an English version if it ever comes down the pipeline.
If I hear about it, I will definitely get you guys in.
Yeah. The other one, I don't know if you know anything about this. Back in the day, Mega Man 9, were you a captain during Mega Man 9? So you might have remembered Seth Killian on the Unity forums made a post about Mega Man 9 saying there was a secret that no one ever found. And I spent countless hours making a video at game trailers trying to figure it out. And even got to talk to Seth at 2 events. Would never budge on it. And so like after talking with like some of the Japanese side, they did not ever spill the beans. So this is like a last Hail Mary. Like, did you ever hear about this?
Do you want me to text? Should I text Seth right now? I'll see
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Seth, I'm getting grilled about some dumb thing you said on Capcom Unity. What the hell?
Yeah, no.
I have no idea, but Seth and I worked together very closely. It was Seth and I and this guy named Sean, and then later Joven. So it was really Seth and I were the main guys on Capcom Unity, like writing the blog posts. I didn't get into it on the forum side as much as Seth and Sean and Joven did, but Yeah, Capcom Unity was something that Seth and I both started literally within days of each other. And like a week after we started, the bosses were like, okay, so when is this Capcom Unity website launching? We're like, what? They're like, yeah, you guys, the community team is supposed to have a website up and running. When's that launching? And I was like, Seth, do you know how to launch a website? He's like, no, do you know how to launch a website? It's gonna take a while. So, yeah, that was a labor of love, and I'll tell you, my time at Capcom, was split evenly between community and communications. But what I really loved was just writing crazy posts about like random Tatsunoko anime characters, in Tatsunoko versus Capcom, or like here's like a long backstory that you don't know about, how, this thing happened in Street Fighter and things like that. So Seth Killian, to this day, he and I are still good buddies. He was just he and his wife Lizzie were here at my house right before GDC. I
Nice.
have a home tiki bar I've built in our backyard, so we were
Very cool.
Nice.
having GDC tiki night.
Yeah,
Super.
yeah. I actually really I got to connect with them at Dice and GDC as well, and then Lizzie's band played down here in Hollywood, so I went to her show for that too.
Yeah, her band is amazing.
Yeah.
Sick.
And also Mega Man 9, of course, is the John Gibson I Am 8-Bit connection there. So we
Shout out.
started the Mega Man 9 project, and we had already done some really amazing stuff at 8-Bit. I'm like, oh my God, I can't say enough good things about John and Amanda and what those guys have done. I just called John and I was like, I want to do a fight club for Street Fighter, and I don't know what that would look like. And he's like, let's figure that out. And like the 8-Bit guys built this program, they built the Street Fighter clubs that we did, and we did in like this grimy spot in downtown LA. We did in a basement of a bodega out in Brooklyn. We had a sweet party in Vegas during CES, like all this stuff. They put together this fantastic series of events that were very key to re-engaging and getting people excited again about Street Fighter and playing Street Fighter. And it was so organic and it was so well done, and all the design was beautiful from 8-Bit from that. So we had already we kicked ass with Street Fighter Club. So I knew at this point we were going to be able to get away with some weirder stuff. So I was like, okay, Mega Man 9 is coming out. It's only going to be digital. Here's what we need to do. We need to make box art. So I was like, John, you got to find someone who can make the
Sick.
ugliest Mega Man 9 box art. You got to going back, because like the Mega Man 1 box art
Classic.
it's legendary, right? It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Looks like it was drawn by somebody's 8-year-old nephew, right? And it's got like, you look at it, and honestly, I remember buying Mega Man 1 when it came out, and even like I'm like looking at the front and then turning it over.
How is this the game?
screenshots.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the screenshots look pretty good, but I like this box is throwing me off. So I went to John. I was like, we got to do the same thing. You got to find somebody on the art side who can just do something that's just awful. And John's like, I know just the guy. And so John went and commissioned an artist to do the Mega Man 9 box art before I had gotten it approved internally. So I hadn't sold this idea up to the producers, including Inafune. So Inafune was in charge of all development at that point in time. He wasn't really on Mega Man 9, but he was closely involved because, we kind of more or less called him the father of Mega Man. So Inafune was watching the project, and I'm like, okay, I can't tell anybody in Japan about this until it's done. Because if I describe this to them, they will be risk adverse. They'll be like, you're crazy. We are not going to do this. You can't do that. So John got this artwork done and he sent it to me, and I was like, this is it, man. You did it. Like, this is, if we had just put Mega Man 9 out digitally on Xbox and PlayStation, people have been like, okay, whatever. But that piece of artwork, like, just people were like, Disgusting. I love this. I have to play this game. 'Cause they're like, okay, Capcom gets it. So we sent that piece of art to Japan after it was done, and we're like, hey, by the way, this is going to be the centerpiece of our PR campaign in North America. And like there was some consternation from Japan, but I was like, well, it's too late. We're going to use it. It's already done. And we got to E3 that year, which was the Danny, you'll remember we called it the lame E3. It was the E3 after the beach E3. So it was the E3.
Yeah, it was only in the upper
center.
rooms. Yeah.
And so John Gibson, out of the kindness of his soul, printed 4 Mega Man 9 T-shirts for us for E3. And Inafune came to a meeting, and I presented this T-shirt to him, and he looks at it, and he just immediately put it on. And we went to a meeting that afternoon with Avi Arad, who had just left Marvel. Like he was the guy the reason we have Marvel movies is because of Avi. And so we went to have a meeting with Avi Arad because he was going to make a Lost Planet movie. And so Inafune and Sujimoto-san and a whole bevy of Capcom execs are in this meeting with Avi Arad talking about like, hey, we're going to do this movie. David Hayter is going to write the script. True story, the voice of Solid Snake. Really weird. And Inafune is sitting in this meeting wearing this white T-shirt with Mega Man 9 art printed on. I'm like, how is anyone taking him seriously right now? Because it just has this totally ridiculous piece of art on it. And later, I was in the limo, and it was Inafune Takeuchi-san, who is also now actually runs all of dev for Capcom. Kaori Sakuda, who's kind of like the U.S. fixer for all things Japan at Capcom. And we're sitting in the car, and Inafune and Takeuchi are talking, and Inafune is telling Takeuchi in Japanese. He said, when I first heard about this artwork, I was really pissed, and I thought it was the dumbest idea I ever had. He's like, now I look at it and I totally understand, and this is the best thing that Capcom USA has ever done. And I was like, yes,
that's awesome.
So yeah,
victory.
That was pure, like that never would have happened without John and Amanda and the 8-bit geniuses.
So cool.
Nice.
Love that.
Unfortunately, Michael, I don't know what the secret is. Knowing Seth, he might have just made that up. Because that's also that 100% tracks Steph's wily intentions. But I will text him after this, and if I can get him to divulge, I will pass him along.
The reaction he gives you will probably be worth the like laugh. That's really all. It's like more like, for the laughs than actual being serious at this point.
It's like, somebody remembers that off our forums? What the hell?
Yeah. All righty. Thank you for all of those wonderful stories.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to get into this craziness, if you want to go ahead and get into the games.
Yeah, I think we're going to get into the games. But before we get into the games, I do have a side question for Chris Kramer. Do you think the Terminator is a cyborg or a robot?
Terminator is a cyborg. He's not a robot.
A cyborg, exactly.
He's a human with robotic replacement parts. A robot is a non-organic mechanical creation.
Yeah.
And he's just Peter Weller who wants to find his family.
No, that's Robocop. We're talking Terminator, not Robocop.
Oh, Terminator. Oh, sorry.
Terminator.
Because we were talking about Robocop earlier.
Yeah.
Terminator. Terminator's a robot. Terminator's a robot.
There we go.
That's not a cyborg, even though he has living skin, living tissue.
That's a robot in a skin suit.
Thank you.
Robot in a skin suit, Gabby.
I could skin a bear and put that skin on, but that does not.
That's what Gabby was saying. Oh my god. Okay. All right. All right. The war rages on for cyborg versus android. Alrighty. Speaking of violent kills and shotguns, we're talking about Doom: The Dark Ages. You've been playing this. I'm sure you go way back with Doom, as we all do. MS-DOS, floppy disks, all the way back to one of the most prolific and one of the most important franchises ever in the industry. What are your initial thoughts on Doom: The Dark Ages?
I'm loving it. I'm having a great time with it. It's they have this really weird, I don't know how they've managed to do this, where the game feels like beefy and chunky.
Yeah,
like you're
so chunky.
Your footsteps, you sound like the Hulk when you're
Yeah.
but you are like flying. You're rushing into enemies with your shield. You're jumping around. You're flinging your shield around. You're shooting. Like you feel like you're this just giant beast, but you're moving like you're a ballet dancer. It's crazy, and it works.
Hell yeah!
It works so well. So good.
Yeah. What is your history with Doom? And what are some of your favorite memories of the franchise?
Coming into work one day and saying to my boss, "Hey, I was looking on the internet last night, and I think there's a way that we can play Doom against each other."
Yes. So important. Yes.
Productivity cratered for about a month.
Done.
Just no one got any work done in the office for a month.
Yeah. I just think it's so wonderful how, this franchise has stayed true to its roots, but also changed with the times over the years. And I think of Resident Evil specifically is one of my favorite series because of the way it changes and evolves with each entry and how they stand on their own. Do you feel that way about the Dark Ages and kind of this new trilogy? And are you happy with kind of the direction they took? Because I have seen a little bit of a divisive take with this one versus Eternal in 2016.
I really liked Eternal. I really liked all, that they kind of picked up on like all the secrets from Doom and Doom 2 and like really integrated that into the game in a clever way. That game was also kind of had that chunky speediness to it, but I love that they've evolved it. Like you can, the fact that the pink demon is now the pinky mount.
Yeah.
Like it's just been really clever changes, but it's all there. Like you've got the super shotgun, you've got like imps and stuff and cacodemons and everything that you would kind of expect. But also that, Doom came out in 90 something or other, 94.
Yeah.
Whenever that was. And a lot has changed. And I think they did a good job of, kind of putting a narrative layer over it that is, doesn't make you just want to smash the A button to like skip through it.
Right.
Yep.
So many game narrative cutscenes. And it just feels good, man. Feels good.
It feels so good.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, it's interesting with people having the debates and stuff with this. It's just kind of nice to me that like we actually do have three very like distinct
incredible
games.
Doom games in the modern era. Victory.
But I'm just saying it's like no, this is actually like this is a different game, right?
Yeah.
This is not just like, oh, here's another like set of levels with a couple of new moves or something.
Yeah, because then it would have just been the Ancient Gods again.
Right.
Like, that's what that was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, if people want that, they can go grab Warhammer 40K Bolt Gun, right? Because
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
On hype.
I think doesn't Bolt Gun, doesn't that use the Doom engine, or did they just emulate, try to make something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, if that's just what you want, if you want that pure experience, there are plenty of boomer shooters, one of my least favorite category names, that just have that. So
I like the kind of double meaning. I always think of like boom, like just blasting, like boom, rockets and shotguns, but also like boomer age, sure. Yeah, I really like how they've implemented like the most modern thing in games, I feel like, is like XP progression, leveling up. Like that has just seeped its way into almost like every video game, it feels like. And, in the original Dooms, the leveling up and the XP was like finding a new gun. That's it. It's like, oh, I found I found the plasma rifle. Boom. But I do really like what they've done with the Dark Ages, having like extra gold you can find, because it's never too much. It's never overwhelming. It's always just a little break in the action. It's like, oh, go explore those couple areas, find some gold, find some loot, whatever. Level up at a shrine, there you go. It's never like the main primary focus. It's just a little extra to kind of keep your dopamine going. I do like that.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through, and I've only had to go look up how to get a hidden thing once. There was something, and I love that you can, they'll show you on the map, they'll give you the question mark or something. You're like, crap, I got to figure out how to get there.
Yeah, some of them are pretty tricky. I'm just like, huh?
But for the most part, it's like, you're like, oh, okay, there's a thing, there's probably something around here, and you can generally figure it out without it being a Mega Man 9 level secret.
Yeah. Right. And do you like the new additions with the dragon and the Jaeger, the giant mech and the flying on the dragon? What do you think about those sections?
I mean, as you can see behind me, I'm never going to say no to some giant robots.
Hell yeah.
So it's nice that they have those in there to break things up a little bit, but it's also I don't feel like it's overstaying its welcome.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's a little thing to put some variety into the game. It's kind of cool. Like, who wouldn't want to punch a 10-story demon in the head with your full fist? That's a pretty good selling point for a video game for me.
Yeah. Do you, speaking of giant robots, really quick, do you like Pacific Rim?
I love the first one.
Here we go.
That was my next. Never mind. The
abort button was pressed.
Never mind. Do you like the way? You've been in this industry so long. Do you like the direction that first-person shooters are going in? I feel like we haven't had a big Half-Life style revolution in a while. Of course, the most recent example I think is like Titanfall 2. People look back on Titanfall 2 like a landmark, legendary masterpiece in the genre. How do you just feel about the overall first-person shooter genre today?
I don't know. I mean, isn't Skyrim a first-person shooter? I mean,
first person. I don't know if it's a shooter.
That's the way I played it. Like I played Skyrim as a magic user, so essentially I was
sick. Yeah.
Just shooting lightning and fire out of it.
That's fair. Yeah.
But in terms of like the big, what Half-Life did, and it was so impressive what Valve built with that game. There was nothing else was like that, because most people, the narrative was, Duke Nukem, kicking ass and chewing bubblegum, and he's all out of bubblegum, right? That's about as deep as the narrative went on most of those games. So that, Half-Life was a revelation. And it was like, oh, look what we can do with this genre and this form. We can do more than just give you a rocket launcher. I think the innovations in first person have been in different directions, and there is a core amount of narrative in the new Doom, but Carmack also famously once said, video games are like porn. The stories don't really matter as much as the action.
Gross, but okay. It's like
I mean, a couple of other ones I was thinking of, Huber, were like I think at Borderlands, obviously, like, you're talking about like the leveling up and stuff, but like when Borderlands started, like the idea of like putting RPG mechanics into an FPS was just like, what? Why would you do that?
I guess it didn't hit me as hard because like that shit was in Deus Ex, kind of, it's on a shooter, of course, but it was like, I had these elements in.
There was definitely some things there, yeah. And then another one I was thinking of, because I think you played a little bit of it, is Witchfire.
Yeah.
And like, what they're doing with that.
Yeah, FPS like roguelite. Yeah, and FPS like extraction games are big too, and just like FPS co-ops. So many ways for them to to take it.
What's interesting
guess-
is I mentioned this to Daniel because we were emailing and I was telling him what I've been playing, and this is actually a really good point. So like I'm having fun with Doom, but when I finish, I'll probably not go back to it. I'll probably just be done with the game.
Yeah.
Before I had been playing Doom, I've been playing not a game that was made by hundreds of people for hundreds of millions of dollars. I was playing a game called Deadzone Rogue.
Yes, we're going to talk about that next.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's like, if you want to talk about innovation in first person shooter, as well as like experience and leveling up, man, those guys, they have nailed it.
I can't wait. Yeah. Right before we get into that, I just had one more question just about Doom and franchises, I guess, in general. I think this is just a theory, but I feel like there's just a little bit of fatigue or familiarity kind of on top of the Dark Ages discourse, where it's like, okay, we have been doing this now for like 9 years because the original of the reboots came out in 2016. So I guess just what do you value between like, or like what do you think of just innovation versus familiarity, and how hard do you think that is just as a game development studio to give the people what they want and expect, but also try to do new things which may alienate them?
Yeah, and I think we can, when we get into Deadzone, we've got literally the perfect example of this. But in a game like Doom and Choose Your Own Adventure, Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I played and I really enjoyed, games like that, you're looking at games that now take 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
You have 300 plus people working on them, and can cost anywhere from 350 to 750 million dollars, right? The dev budget for the most recent Call of Duty game was $750 million.
Yeah,
crazy. If you are building a game and it costs you $750 million, you have to make that money back and then also be profitable, which means that you have to sell 30, 40 million copies of that game. So you have to build a game that 100 million or 200 million people might be interested in playing. And so when you're looking at that, it's like the AAA space, the bets are so big now.
Yeah.
And the margin for failure is staggering, right? If you blow it, if you spend 4 years and $400 million building Concord, and you have to turn that off a couple weeks after turning it on, that's not something you can be like, oops.
Yeah.
So when you're at the top, when you're producing the games that are super high fidelity in terms of visuals, have very ambitious narratives, are doing things with the Unreal Engine, are pushing PlayStation and Xbox to the limits of their hardware capabilities, you have to make sure that you're making a game that a lot of people are going to be able to play. And I think because of that, you end up a little bit with some of the issues that we're seeing, with some of the Marvel and Star Wars products over the last couple of years, where it's like, well, this has maybe been averaged down a little bit too much. And instead of getting a spicy meatball, we're getting a bowl of vanilla custard.
Totally. Right. Well said. Well put. Which brings us into Deadzone Rogue. You have been playing this, and you're hyped on this, and you're saying it's innovative. What's going on with Deadzone Rogue? I've never even heard of it until you brought it up.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's been doing very well on Steam charts for the last couple weeks. They put some stuff out right around Steam Next Fest, and it kind of blew up. It is a roguelike first-person shooter.
Love roguelikes.
So there is just that constant loop.
Love that loop.
It's the Tom Cruise movie, like Live, Die, Repeat.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. You're running through each run, and you're trying to survive these rooms. And in order to level up, you get experience, you get money. So you're adding new abilities. You're bringing up the percentages on your weapons. Eventually, you make it through to the boss in the first area, and it opens up the next area. It's really cool. And like I said, like Doom, I'll finish Doom, and I
Yeah.
won't go back to it. I will be totally happy with the experience I had playing Doom. Like it's great. With Dead Zone, I'm gonna keep playing that like over and over again because it's kind
It's
of
got
like,
you hooked.
yeah, it's got a really tight loop. Each run is like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour,
Good length.
something.
Great length.
So yeah, you can get in there, and even if you blow it, you get in and you just get your head kicked in.
Yeah.
You're still walking out and you're like, well, at least I got some credits and I got some bits and pieces here so I can, level up my shields so my shields recharge a little bit faster or my guns hit a
Yeah.
little harder. And it's a really give me anything that has roguelike on it and I just eat that up. I love
Darkest Dungeon. What are your thoughts?
Darkest Dungeon is great. That is
Yes.
a tough game. It's super fun. Anything like that. Anything where it's like, okay, I wiped out here, but next time I'm going to get a little bit further, a little bit further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is truly one of my favorite genres as well. I can't get enough of roguelites.
On
Yeah,
my Switch, I now have more than 600 hours in Binding of Isaac. I think last time
Holy
wow.
moly.
like 650 hours. Binding of Isaac is like
Yeah.
that's my fidget spinner, right?
Yeah. That's like me with Rogue Legacy 2. I will just
Yeah.
like drop in for a run whenever. Random night, I'm going to just do a run real quick. I got like 200 hours in that.
Rogue Legacy 2 is what
Oh,
after
you're
I
saying
bought-
magic
after
words
I bought
here.
my Steam Deck. I was like, why did I buy this Steam Deck? Did I really need this? And then my friend's like, you should get Rogue Legacy 2. And I was like,
Yeah, dude, yes. Such a good game. I love that game so much.
Yeah, another one that I saw at GDC that's kind of somewhat similar to this is Voidbreaker. I don't know if you heard of that yet. That
yes. Yeah.
PlayStack's going to be publishing.
Yeah, that looks really cool too. I like that. And there was a similar game I played a couple months ago called Void Bastards. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
staying in the Void theme. But
How
yeah,
how are the bosses in Deadzone Rogue?
I have only gotten to the first boss in the first segment. And you're kind of circle strafing and trying to switch weapons and
Yeah.
grenades and just kind of live through the whole thing.
Yeah, a fun one to fight because my only I don't like to throw a little negative on Hades because it is legitimately one of the best games ever made. But fighting that bone hydra over and over truly gets fatiguing.
Yeah.
So I like when roguelites have good bosses because you're going to be fighting those things quite a bit.
Yeah, and the individual units, the robots that you're taking out, one of the cool things they do in the game is that when you come into a new area, it gives you a few minutes of stealth, which means that you can kind of run quickly through the area and almost unpick the puzzle of how you are going to approach each area. So you don't just run in and immediately go guns blazing because that's how you get murdered.
Yeah.
But you poke around, you're like, okay, if I go over here, I can get a corner at my back and I can fight my way out of this trap. And, I can toss a grenade over here and I can, headshot these guys over here. So you get like a minute or two at the start of each level to almost do like a little tactical thinking about how you're going to approach it.
Recon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, so we're talking with Doom. I don't know how big the dev team was on Doom. I'm going to assume more than 200 people, several $100 million. Again, I don't know, Todd's not sending me receipts from games that come out of Bethesda these days. But Deadzone Rogue is 20 guys in Atlanta. They're former high-res devs.
Okay, yeah.
And it's 20 people. And
So wild.
it is awesome.
I know.
So-
It continues the trend of just these small teams making magic.
Yeah, and it's great. It proves that not every game requires a $1 billion budget. If you're gonna make GTA 6, it's gonna cost you a whole giant pile of money. But where your goals are for a game like that are very different than where the goals are for a game like Deadzone Rogue, or something like what's the other? I'm looking at my Steam list. Conquest Dark, which is
Never even heard of that one.
it's very similar to Vampire Survivors.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, nice.
So it's like Conquest
Love
Dark is
that.
kind of like a fantasy RPG version of Vampire.
Cool.
Again, and
Yeah.
it's,
We played. It's actually 1.0 today. Is Bloodshed.
Bloodshed
which is like
hype.
FPS Vampire Survivors kind of game.
Shout out Bloodshed. Love that game. Dude, too many games. Now you're throwing Deadzone Rogue at me. You're throwing Bloodshed at me. I cannot keep up.
that's
can't
why
keep up.
everybody's Steam pile is like just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. No way to get through it.
That's why like early access, I can't even flirt with early access because I already have 5 million games to play. So it's like, dude, I'll just wait, and then hopefully when it fully releases, I can get in there. There's just too many games. Do you think that's a problem? That there are too many games? Do you think that is a problem or no?
I don't, it's not infinite content, but there's a lot out there. And what it means is that
I love that.
we're not locked into playing, the same 5 NES cartridges that come out per quarter because it, is expensive to, build cartridges and ship them in boxes to retailers around the US, right? So, something like Deadzone Rogue and even Doom, right? You were talking about the kind of the controversy with people who are playing it. It's not for everyone. So, like, if I got someone who doesn't feel like shooting demons in the face all day long, maybe they want to go to Clair Obscure and fight a mime or something, whatever's happening. I haven't played that yet. So,
Super good.
yeah, that's next on my pile, which means I should get to it in about October or November.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, great. All righty. We got more to come. But if you've been enjoying the show so far, please take a moment to like and subscribe and ring that bell on YouTube. It helps us and it helps you stay connected. We love it. Get on in there. And now, a word from our sponsors.
When we were young, we used to dream about being just about anything. Astronauts, presidents, queens of the entire universe. I would dream about tornado chasing and paleontology. But as you get older, your dreams change, focusing on less running the world and more running a business, maybe. How your skills and ideas can turn into something real. Instead of dreaming of going to space or owning a castle, you start dreaming about owning your own business. But you'll need a website, a payment system, a logo, a way to advertise to new customers. It can all be overwhelming and confusing. Thankfully, that's where today's sponsor, Shopify, comes in. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands that are just getting started. But you may ask, what if I can't design a website? Shopify's got you from the get-go with beautiful, ready-to-go templates to match your brand's style. You ask, what if I need a hand? Get help with everyday tasks like enhancing product images, writing product descriptions, or generating discount codes with Shopify's AI tools created for commerce. What if people haven't heard about my brand? Shopify helps you find your customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And what if I get stuck? Shopify is always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. Turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allies. That's shopify.com/allies. Go to shopify.com/allies today.
And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, we love you. Thank you. All right, Bloodworth.
Yo.
Showtime. Tanuki Pawns Summer.
Yeah.
The only thing I think of when I hear the word Tanuki is Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah, we talked about this the
That's
other
it.
week.
That's all I think about.
When they sent this to me. Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, I got to play the PAX East demo of this.
This looks delightful, dude. What?
Yeah, little cute Tanuki
Poco.
delivery man with a BMX bike.
What? Dude, what? This looks so sick.
And Buzz will
Dude.
remember this because he did mention this game recently about how we all forgot.
I remember. Yep, we forget every time, dude. This game is unassuming, dude. Baseball.
Yeah, there's baseball mini game.
Oh no.
Is it Daniel? Is this is giving me strong Sega Dreamcast vibes? Is this like kind of Dreamcast era gameplay?
Dude, it does.
I guess you could maybe like compare it to like a Jet Set or something like that, but I don't know that's necessarily what they're going for.
One of my favorite things is when people say that, like, oh yeah, this is giving me Dreamcast vibes. That always means, yo, this looks happy and fun and delightful. Like, dude, that Dreamcast nostalgia can't get enough.
Yeah, so yeah, little Tanuki who's got like a summer job at the post office, and you've got your BMX bike, and you ride around and like make deliveries to different people in town. And
Delivery games are in.
but the thing is when you do these deliveries, then you tend to get to these other like little kind of like mini games,
Like baseball.
yeah, like the baseball. One of the first ones that you do in the demo is sumo wrestler. And so you do this like little sumo wrestling mini game where it's like you've got to do the stomps to build up your power, and that's kind of like a Hot Shots golf gauge kind of thing where you got to like
Excellent.
try to hit it in the center to like get the most power out of your stomp there.
So fun.
And that determines basically the max that your stamina will recover to while you're trying to like push the guy out of the ring.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there's just full on like Tony Hawk style, like doing tricks and flips and going up half pipes and trying to like rail grinds and all that stuff and trying to get combos. And some of the NPCs will have you do that. It's like, okay, prove that you can actually do tricks.
Yeah.
So you have to get a certain score level. And then there is a girl with the camera there's a photographer that's in the town. And so she gives you one of her extra cameras, and so you have to kind of go around and like take photos of these shrines.
Is that just a side thing?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is the way things are kind of constructed is like the side quests and the main quests all sort of blend together. So it's like, your main goal is to like deliver all the packages and envelopes for the day. But when you get up to these characters, then they have other things that they want you to do.
Yeah.
And so some of it's, not exactly optional, but, and then I'm trying to think about what else I did that's in there. You had to pour pints at the bar.
Dave the Diver, dude. Dave the Diver.
And so it's like they would show you like an image, and like you had to like get the foam to beer ratio.
Hell yeah, it's essential. Don't botch
It's like my
that, dude.
garage.
Yeah, do not botch it.
And then and there was a restaurant owner where you had to like go around and look for his employees. They all took off. They didn't want to work for the day, so you had to go find all of them around town and try to get them to come to work. And then when they don't want to come to work, you got to cook yakitori skewers, which was funny because there's just like a bunch of ingredients flying around on a griddle, and you had to like stab at the right time to get as many ingredients onto the skewer as you could, but also try to get the right balance of chicken and vegetables.
Okay. You're forgetting an important part though. Who is this Tanuki? Why is he doing this?
So he's doing this because there's like a Tanuki shrine. There's a big Tanuki shrine in the town. and you're trying to like restore the shrine. And so then there's just like this whole other thing of like once you earn cash, then you go back to the shrine and you like start placing walls and Tanuki statues and like other kinds of like flags and decorations and stuff like that.
It's kind of giving me the one you just played with the giant thumb.
Oh, Promise Mascot Agency?
A little bit of that.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I'd like some of the things I'd say they need, like he's great and like really expressive animation. I don't know if this is in the cards or not for them, but it would be really nice to have more vocalization. Like the characters don't really have anything when they speak or anything, so it's just plain text. And that was one of the great things with Promise Mascot Agency is that they've got those voice actors in there that just like really, really sell the characters. So again, this is just a demo. Who knows where they'll be at in the final game? Maybe they're still working on a lot of that kind of thing.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a fun time there.
Yeah, dude, I am in, man.
I also like. I was having a hard time just like trying to like navigate around a little bit, so maybe some things there to tweak, and like the kind of like when you're trying to get to higher ground, it was tricky for me to figure out how to do that. Like it's like, okay, there's a half pipe there, I can get speed, I can get up there, but I would like flip, but I wouldn't like have any momentum left to like
some light
go up
puzzles.
there. I wouldn't call that a puzzle. I would just say like trying to figure out like how to like streamline those controls a bit more. Yeah. But it looks cool.
It does look good. Right now, we just have a coming soon on Steam. So
coming later this year.
Keeley or John Gibson will hopefully unleash Tanuki upon us.
It did win a lot of awards at PAX East, though. Like a lot of people were coming by and giving them awards at the booth.
So it's one to watch then.
Yeah.
Draft this on your fantasy teams, everybody. This is an inside scoop right here. Tanuki Pond Summer.
And the lead guy, Liam, he previously worked on Curse to Golf.
Oh,
if you remember that. Yeah.
So fun.
The side-scrolling golf game. Which I think is also a roguelike.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
The Tanuki Festival is just a month away, and the shrine is in disrepair. You're a part-time job at the post office. That's so funny, dude. Sign me up, blood. I'm in.
Also, a lot of the like the confirm and deny or like how you like you pick, because it's weird because it's unclear to me whether the Tanuki can actually speak. But so you'll see like these icons where it's like here's a head shake or you put both paws up. It's like okay, good stuff.
This, like, you never would ever, you couldn't sell me on something any more than as you build up friendship and loyalty with the inhabitants, they'll invite you to a wide range of sports and activities. Like, you got me.
So probably not any demons being summoned into the Tanuki summer.
Yeah, probably no ripping and tearing.
The fact that you serve beer though makes me think it's not out of the question.
Yeah.
When
it takes a dark M turn midway through the game.
But it'll be like Yokai Watch or something, right? There'll just be like some little mischievous spirits.
So funny. Thanks for that, Blood. I'm eagerly awaiting that one now. That looks really, really good. Which brings us to one that I have been eagerly awaiting for some time. Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny is finally here. Thank you, Capcom. I'm sure Chris Kramer has some thoughts on this game. Onimusha, as many of our longtime listeners know, one of my favorite franchises, full stop, in gaming. Came out in my formative years. PS2 was the original Onimusha, and the Cell was Resident Evil Samurais. Like, that was, as a child, that was the Cell that got me into it. There's even, like demons. We're speaking a lot of demons on today's episode. There's a lot of demons in this, fixed cameras, Resident Evil style. But here we are, Onimusha 2. This remaster.
and the first remaster was so long ago, right?
It
that you felt like
was.
Oh, here's this test case.
Exactly. I was
and
scared.
if it doesn't do well, we won't get any more. And then for the longest time, we just didn't get any more.
No news. We got nothing. I was terrified that the franchise was dead because nobody was even talking about the original remaster except MinMax. Shout out. Watch that episode. And you know, I always think of remasters for dormant franchises as a second chance to bring new people in and to hopefully jumpstart a new entry in the franchise, which we are getting with Onimusha. So we are really having a moment now with this franchise, with now the ability to play 1 and 2 easily remastered and a brand new entry on the horizon. So to me, it's only a matter of time before, you know, we get 3. But yeah, Onimusha 2 to me is an example of one of the best possible sequels you could ever play, because it is exactly what you want from a sequel. It expands on the original in meaningful ways, and it does just about everything better while also still feeling really familiar to the original. Picks up way later from the first one. You're a new character, Jubei. So it definitely feels like a sequel, but it also feels separate, like a standalone thing. Like I could comfortably say you could probably hop into this without having played the first one. I wouldn't recommend it because they're pretty short games, but you could easily hop into 2 and not miss a beat from the first one. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, everything is just expanded. The environments, you know, the first game is really rudimentary. That's how I would describe Onimusha 1. That's like an early PS2 game, and you really feel that, especially going back to it. The first one is like pretty much just in the castle grounds, and it's not like, you know, Spencer Mansion level environment of like, wow, there's so much to do in this castle. It's like, no, here's your environment, you're going to be going through it, and that's pretty much it. Onimusha 2 is very much more, you know, going to new places, seeing new enemy types. You're always kind of bouncing around. Yeah. You're returning to familiar locations, like the hub town. You have a mining hub town in it, which is really fun that I'll get into. But there's just a lot more to see, a lot more to fight. The story is told better with more depth. Not gonna, you know, win any awards for writing or acting or lore, but it does expand it. So yeah, in the hub town, kind of in between missions, there's NPCs running around. You have gold now that you can collect to buy things from a shop. You know, I love my economies. There are NPCs in this game that play a big part of the story. It's very funny, actually, because I have a small criticism about it. It's funny. There's all these NPCs, and you can give them gifts. There's like a gift mechanic. Yeah. And they like different things. You know, like the big bruiser loves alcohol. He's a drunkard. Give him alcohol, he's pumped. There's another guy who it's like, okay, I really like history, so give me the history books, right? Depending on how you play that out, who you give and how they respond to what you give them, they can show up to certain fights and assist you in combat. So there's like different outcomes in the game. You would never know on a first playthrough ever. You would have no idea that this is even a thing. You would think this is just like the game. Like, oh, this guy shows up now to help me. You would never know. No, the game doesn't tell you. You go through this game one time and somebody told you after the fact. You would have no clue. No idea. So I appreciate that it's there, but it also just feels kind of like an afterthought of like having to manage these gifts and giving them to them. It's a little bit tedious, but it's not.
You haven't played Fire Emblem Three Houses yet.
I played a bunch, but at least Fire Emblem, like, way better example, Damiani. Great call. Way better example of that kind of system. Yeah. Any thoughts before I get into like combat and stuff? Any Onimusha thoughts from anybody? Especially you.
What's
Kramer.
Interesting is that they kept the appearance of the character. So the main character in the game is was one of the first times
Yes.
they had digitally recreated an actor who had died. So
Yes.
the main character in the game looks like this guy who had been a badass kind of action hero in Japanese TV and film,
Yeah.
70s and 80s. And,
Yusaku Matsuda.
yeah, and it was a big deal in Japan when Onimusha 2 came out because this guy was like, it was essentially like if you had put Clint Eastwood
Yeah.
in, if Clint Eastwood had been the main character in Red Dead. But you never know these days with, likeness rights and who owns what. So it's cool that they were able to keep his appearance in the game and kind of keep the legacy of that actor going.
Absolutely. I love this character too. Jubei is so awesome because Samanosuke is in Onimusha 1 and 3, but this one is Jubei. And yeah, Onimusha 2, it's funny because since Samanosuke is in 1 and 3, those games feel like one, together. And then 2 kind of just stands on its own on the side, but 2 is definitely, in my opinion, the best Onimusha. I do compare it to like Devil May Cry, where it's like Devil May Cry 3, we can all acknowledge, is like the best of the PS2 ones, easily one of the best games ever made. But that doesn't take away from the vibes and the atmosphere of Devil May Cry 1. I love the feeling of that game. Kind of like Onimusha, Onimusha 1 kind of has that a little bit of a darker vibe to it, even though it is kind of rudimentary and such an early game. But yeah, 2 is just better in every way.
Yeah. So how does that combat differentiate itself? Because obviously like Devil May Cry, you've got a lot of juggling and quick changes and things like that. This feels a little bit more deliberate, but not slow. Yeah,
it's deliberate hack and slash, if that makes sense. You need to manage your blocks, I would say. There's no parrying, don't worry about that. There are the counterattacks that even after 20 years, I can never get the counterattacks right. Every time it happens, it feels random. 20 years later, seriously, still can't do it. But it's just about blocking. You don't have to worry about stamina. Thank you. Pre From Software stamina obsession. I do love stamina though. So yeah, it's basically just like getting your blocks down and kind of repositioning yourself to get some attacks in. Because bigger enemies will knock you down. You take a lot of damage. There's no regenning health, so you got to manage your health items. When you're low on health, though, if you kill enemies, they can give you a little bit of yellow orb to heal you up. So it's not too punishing. There's auto saves. There's manual saves. So it is a little bit of a challenging game with kind of where to go. You're never going to be fully lost, but sometimes there is a little bit of like, where do I go next exactly? Never too many ways to go, but it's like, maybe try this. No, that's not it. Let me backtrack this way. So a little bit of that. And then combat can be a little intense sometimes with bosses, dude. Bosses will take you out if you're not prepared. But all the saves are really generous and yeah, it's not insanely punishing. There's an easy and normal mode as well. But yeah, I like the combat a little more because you find these scrolls for some of your weapons where you can do like this extra combo move where it's like back forward square and you'll do like with the spear you'll do like a classic thrust action, or with the sword you'll do like a quick little pop and kind of implementing those into your combos just adds a little more depth, because it really is about, like I was saying, knowing when to block. It's about knowing when to keep the pressure on your attacking and then kind of backing off a little. So being able to implement that extra combo in there, and not to mention your weapon arts, which are from the first one, your special moves, is really fun. It just has you think a little bit during combat. That's why I say a deliberate hack and slash, because, a lot of hack and slashers, you're just going in, mashing them out. But this is like, no, I got to think a little bit here. But I just love this franchise so much. Do you have any memories of Onimusha, Kramer, from back in the day?
Yeah. So those games had come out after I had left Capcom, but like I said, I'm a diehard guy, and I play almost everything that the company puts out.
Yeah.
And so when I came back to Capcom in 2006, the people who had worked on I liked Onimusha a lot. I liked Onimusha 2 even more.
Yeah.
So I was talking with Taguchi-san, who was the director on that game, and I was telling him on the first Onimusha, the thing that bums me out is at the very end of the game, spoilers, you get like this super powerful demon sword.
Yeah. The Oni shit.
Yeah. And so, and it's awesome because you're just like cutting enemies in with one shot and you're just cutting them in half. And I was telling Taguchi, I was like, why didn't you let me start New Game Plus with that sword? And he's like, but then it would have been too easy. You would have just been killing all the enemies with one shot. And I'm like, yeah, that would have been fun. Why wouldn't you let me do that? He's like, that is not the way you're supposed to play the game. And I was like, don't tell me how to play the game.
I love that. Yeah, in this one, in Onimusha 2 now, you can collect these orbs to then transform into Oni mode, basically like demon mode.
Okay, yeah.
You're getting all strong, you just cut everyone down. And yeah, that's just something you collect, and it's a consumable. It's like, enemies will drop those. You have to collect a certain amount. You burn it, start fresh from, collecting those orbs again. Yeah, it's just so good. Like, I cannot wait to see, we were talking a little bit about it with Doom. I just cannot wait to see the newest Onimusha and how it translates this exact gameplay into the newer one, of just that deliberate, slower, but not too slow. Like you were saying, Vlad, like it's slower, but it's not too slow. And I want to see just the speed and what they value in the new one. Are we going to be parrying? Is it going to be a parry fest in the new one?
Right.
Like everyone's obsessed with parries. Like, yeah, are we going to be parrying? Are we going to be dodging? Who knows? So sick. All right. Any other thought? Damian, are you going to hop into this, dude? I've had enough.
You mean for 3? You mean for Onimusha? For 3?
No, the newest one coming out.
Yeah. Sorry. What's it called?
Like 5 now? It'll be 5.
Yeah, I forgot the number.
Way of the Sword, right?
But yeah, when you told me, we talked about this. When you told me that I would be able to jump into it without
You're just jumping into that one.
And then if I like it, I'm gonna go back and play 2. And, I was gonna play the remaster. Sorry, not remix.
I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm down. They were hard as like I tried one. I rented one from Blockbuster, and it was hard as shit as a kid. And I was like, so there you go, the Blockbuster. I don't know if this one was also they fall in.
Yeah, that's so good.
Blockbuster, love Capcom. Keep those going, kids.
Yeah.
Hit you with those late fees coming back with the game. They're like, oh, you're supposed to have this here on Saturday.
Yeah.
We're going to charge you $900 for renting this game now.
Yeah. Quickly, talking about Blockbuster and talking about sequels, because again, I just want to talk about Onimusha for one more minute because I love it so much and I'm happy it's here. Don, what is one of your favorite like early sequels? Earliest sequels, putting you on the spot.
I mean, if you want to talk early, I'm gonna go way back to John's early days of what he's talking, like Mega Man, because I was, obviously Capcom was like the first company that I was like, I love this company. It was like the first company I identified with as a little kid, where I was like, this is a company producing games and I love everything they're putting out. So yeah, Mega Man I was obsessed with. And I just remember like Mega Man 2 was like one of my earliest, memories of a sequel, playing a sequel. That and maybe probably like Ninja Gaiden 2 also for the NES. Both of those I thought were like incredible. But Mega Man 2 and then even 3 too. I was like, 3 was like one of the first games I think first time I ever was able to like put a portion of my allowance into or something and purchase or something. So it's like I still remember coming home from the store with Mega Man 3. It was like super awesome.
Yeah.
It got Rush in there. Oh man.
Yeah. Because just Capcom sequels, man, it's really out of control. I mean, we won't talk about Devil May Cry 2, But, thinking of the leap from like Resident Evil to Resident Evil 2 and Onimusha to Onimusha 2, I mean, for crying out loud.
And like what Don was saying, Mega Man to Mega Man 2.
And exactly.
Because
talk about finessing it.
Dude.
because the first Mega Man,
One
I
is-
actually didn't get to actually play that much of
one is
until
rough.
much later.
Frustrating
Challenging.
parts.
And it is so freaking hard
Yeah.
and so ridiculous on some of the jumps and things like that.
Disappearing blocks.
And it's like there's some hard platforming in there, but it's like you get into it,
Yeah.
But it just feels like such a better game on like every level. You got little cutscenes in there
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah.
And just how crazy game development is, Onimusha 1 came out in March 2001 in America, March 2001. Onimusha 2 came out August 2002. A year and a half cranking out a sequel that is like brand new areas and enemies and just better in almost
An actor's
every way.
likeness.
I know. That is wild.
Yeah.
So wild. Alrighty. Any other sequel thoughts or Onimusha thoughts from anyone?
It'd be
All good.
interesting to see if they keep Jean Reno in Onimusha.
Yes.
They do.
Oh, they've got to. They've got to.
But if they do, I want him to look like Jean Reno today, not Jean Reno.
Get him back in the studio. Get him going. Facial capture.
I think Jean Reno today has a slightly different waist size from early 2000s.
All right. Oh, I'm just so glad Onimusha is back. It is a glorious day. And Blood, you were saying it's been a while for that remaster, the first one. Yeah, that was 2019.
Yeah.
That was so long ago. Oh my God. And now here we are, Onimusha 2 with the new one on the horizon. Yes. Dino Crisis next. For sure. For sure. They're running out of things to do. It is Dino Crisis time.
I think we'll probably get another Strider before we get Dino Crisis.
Oh.
Hell yes. Let's
We
do
love
it.
Strider. I even like that.
The
that
remake was good.
I loved it. I loved it.
really
I loved
good.
it. I love that one. I really do.
Okay.
I liked
Yeah.
it too.
I really liked it. All right, Blood. We got one more game to talk about.
Yeah.
Deliver at all costs.
Yeah, so I've been playing this week. This is an interesting kind of like part Crazy Taxi, part like top-down GTA.
Cool.
Konami's publishing this, but it's being developed by a team called Far Out Games. So they've just kind of picked it up. It's kind of more on like not quite indie because Konami's publishing it, but it's very small team. And it's one of these games where like I'm kind of mixed. That like there's some
This
things
looks sick,
that I really like about it, and then there's
It's
other
giving me
things that
Tropico vibes.
yeah, they're kind of dragging it down in a way. But it's crazy because like if you look at the way it looks, Huber, like
Tell me
the
that's you
visual
driving.
style. Yeah, this is me. This is my footage.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is you kind of have to like figure out like which of the control schemes you want to go with, like right from the start. So you can either have like the remote control car kind of scheme, to where it's like
okay.
it's always going to be relative to the car. So when you're coming straight down, it's going to be backwards, and you got to like rewire your brain for that. But I think that's the thing is like they've sort of played into that by making just about everything in the world destructible.
This looks fun.
So when you're having a hard time with the controls, then you're gonna bash into something, right? But there is another control scheme that's more like screen relative, to where it's
Yeah.
like you just point at like whatever direction you want to go or whatever.
This environment is cozy.
Also, sort of like GTA, but with like a little bit of like one notch down. You can jump in any parked car.
Oh, okay.
You can't just like grab
Do you
something,
steal it?
carjack
Do
somebody.
you like bash the window and hotwire it, or do you just
You
get
just
in?
open the door and
Okay.
get in. But you see, like once you get into these delivery missions, this is the first one that you get.
Oh my god.
You're supposed to deliver fireworks, but the fireworks are going off the whole time. So that's the sort of like managed chaos side of this thing. And like as fireworks are going off, or you're like hitting people or whatever, oh yeah, then my wheel just comes off, so I got to get out and put my wheel back on. And now look, people are mad at me because I hit them with the car, so
Oh
they're
my
coming and
God.
attacking.
Well, yeah, you can hit.
You can absolutely hit pedestrians. They'll never die.
Okay, they'll never die.
But
they'll never die.
come and run at you with an angry face.
Crap.
This is another one that I did a little bit later. So you have a truck full of watermelons, but each watermelon is a separate physics object. Oh my God. So you start with like 60 watermelon, but if you go less than 20, you fail the mission.
Yeah.
But they'll just so quickly just fly out of the back of that truck.
That's tough.
Weird.
And,
I think that's the exact plot of the new Speed movie they're making.
And so the ridiculous thing with this mission is this guy's trying to sell these kind of rotten watermelons to this woman, and she's like, no, we don't want these. So you have to take them to basically spray them with pesticides to get rid of the bugs that are on them, and then spray them with dye to make them look like they're fresh.
Yeah.
And then you can go and she'll accept them.
Dude, I like collecting that money, blood.
Yeah, so there's lots of like crates around town to smash. There's lots of places where you'll get out of the car and like climb a ladder and run around on a rooftop or find like some place up in the hills.
This looks so fun, dude.
And
why are you playing all the fun games?
I put them out there for Instagram.
This looks rad.
But some of the things that are kind of like, oh yeah, this is some of the on foot stuff, like because there's you get all these weird gadgets and stuff. Oh, and the other thing I didn't bring up is like you can kind of tell, but it's just like set in like 1959.
Yeah.
And there's a surprising amount of story to it. So it's like you're clearly like some rocket scientist who lost his job or left his job for some reason or another.
I like that, dude. A rocket scientist.
Yeah, but you find these blueprints. So since you're an engineer, like you can like get these different things for your car.
This journal is so nice.
Yeah, and then after you finish a mission, you can go back and read the journal about that mission and his take. This is your coworker here, Norman.
Dude, Norman hype.
So you go do some runs with him, go have some dinner at his house with his family and kids and stuff.
Dude.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is like putting some attachments on there. And like one of the first attachments you get is just like, I don't understand why this exists, but it like basically just like pops your doors and your hood open. Hydraulic doors, there it is. But then you also get a crane.
Yeah.
So that you can like, there'll be like certain things that like you just like use the crane to like pick up and then put in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
But one of the ones here, we're about to do this.
Oh,
Again, silly mission. This guy wants to impress his fiance's father and ask for like his blessing on the marriage, and the father is a fisherman, and so you've got to like deliver this fish to the father, but the fish is alive, and so it's flailing around the whole time and messing with your controls. Right? And again, you've got to do this thing where it's like you've got to like get it to like and this is the other thing. When it starts getting angry, you have to feed it. So you like smash into barrels of fish to feed the marlin. It just
looks so silly in such a good way.
It's crazy, yeah. And then you got to dye it, so it's like a rare type of marlin.
Are there any bank robberies or police chases?
I have not seen either of that type of thing yet. Okay. I did. There's some side quests that are out there where one was like the mayor has a doppelganger that he hires to like go to budget meetings and things that he doesn't want to do, and so you've got to go run around the street looking for the doppelganger.
The mayor hiding a doppelganger? That sounds familiar. Naruto when he becomes
you have to deliver the balloons, and now your truck is all floaty. And so when you go off of just a speed bump or something, you just like start floating in the air.
This looks delightful, dude.
Some of the things that have been kind of holding it back.
I see the reviews are mixed to positive. We could be swimming beautifully.
There are things that when I would so a lot of it's kind of a setup on like the story is broken up into days. So like you'll wake up, you'll be in your apartment, you'll read a newspaper or whatever, you'll get the mail, and then you have to go to work. And a lot of the times with that structure, like say you want to go around and do a side quest or whatever, he'll be like, no, I got to use the company car right now. You know, so it's like, oh, I can't do this side quest until the
Got
game
it.
gives me
Lets
permission.
you, yeah. Days Gone does some of that.
Here we had to deliver like a seismometer to the top of a volcano, and so it's like freaking Death Mountain trying to dodge boulders.
Hey, Daniel, it seems like one of the reasons why the community's mad is that it's free on the Epic Game Store right now.
Boom!
Oh, is it?
And so people are
Free!
like, I paid for this on Steam and now it's free on Epic Game Store.
I mean, you have a
That'll
PC.
do it.
I don't understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
review Bomb City. Here it comes.
Yeah.
God.
And then and then see like I got knocked off the cliff there. But that was one of the things too that kind of drug it down for me. Is there's another mission that I did where I had to go up the volcano in a different car, in a side quest car. And the side quest car, it was a ghost car. So like the fish, it was like messing with your controls.
Yeah.
And so then I got knocked off of a cliff and lost the car. And so you can go to a telephone booth and respawn your work truck,
Yeah.
but you can't do that with these side mission cars. So then my only option was to like drive all the way back to where the car initially spawned and then start the whole thing over again. And so there's not any kind of like fast travel. There's also not any way for me to like set like a custom waypoint. So like when I'm trying to do that side quest, like all the arrows are pointing me towards the main quests, and then like I'm having to like look at the map a lot more.
Okay, so it needs a patch or two.
Yeah, it needs some like more quality of life kind of things like that. There's a funny thing that you can do. I think it's just like when the physics get you just stuck in a weird spot, but you can like click the left stick and your car will do this huge hop. It's like hopping like a whole story. But yeah, you know, when you get off the leash though, it's fun to kind of explore and oh yeah, this is the ghost car here. It's just doing everything possible to like mess you up as you're driving around.
Cool, dude. I'm so intrigued, but
And yeah, it's this kind of isometric perspective.
Your favorite Damian.
You can flip the right stick to change camera angles, so you can only get like 2 camera angles, but it kind of does help you sometimes.
Nice.
To see around corners and stuff like that.
Double press triangle to jump out of the car at high speeds.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. To get rid of this ghost car, you literally like have to drive it into the volcano. And it was for this clown. The clown was the one who was like, we can't deal with this car, man. We gotta Bubbles the clown.
Is there VO?
There is some. Yeah.
Cool.
There's definitely some VO in there.
Hell yeah.
Did you have you tried that on Steam Deck? How does that work on the Steam Deck?
No, I don't have a Steam Deck,
It
but I
looks
imagine it would
nice
be a good
for
one,
it.
a good fit if it's compatible.
Blood, the
That looks
reason
like
I'm
a
so
perfect like traveling game.
Yeah.
I love that because I was thinking like I'm always looking for a game that I can play for like 30 minutes before bed.
Right.
A mission here, a mission there type
Yeah,
game.
if you do
This
like
looks
one mission or one
Yeah.
one day of missions, for sure.
That looks great.
Deliver at all costs.
Deliver at all costs.
Oh
on
yeah, and
Steam right now
I'm
for
just getting to
30
this part
or
of the
free on
story
Epic.
where there's like some rival delivery company, you know, coming in on your turf.
Hell yeah. All right. Time for the April sales report. From Matt Piscatella. Take it away, Bloodworth.
Yeah, April 2025 spending fell 3% compared to a year ago to just $4.1 billion.
Just a little over $4 billion. Just a small amount.
Year to date is 8% behind 2024's pace.
That's a noticeable number.
Some interesting things though. 18% year-over-year growth for non-mobile subscription. So Game Pass is still
Game Pass.
up, still getting that Call of Duty bump on Game Pass.
Call of Duty bump. Seriously, all you have to do is crunch the numbers, man. It's like, all right, if Call of Duty is $70,
Right.
and a year of Game Pass is X amount, might as well just get an entire year of
Yeah.
Game Pass.
Also, 16% gain in console digital premium downloads. So like full price console games.
Got it.
Digital. And then hardware wise, PS5 dollar sales declined 5% in April compared to a year ago, but it's still in the lead. Switch down 37%.
Holding off for Switch 2.
Yep.
Holding off.
But Xbox grew 8% compared to
Look
last
at
year.
that.
Oh, really? Xbox
Yeah.
grew?
So Game Pass might actually be
price
helping them.
changes haven't gone into effect, have they?
Not for April, no.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was going
Yeah.
to say. Sorry.
And then we'll get into our top 20, which definitely some interesting trends this month. But there's only one new release in the top 20.
Has to be Elder Scrolls.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
And
it, though? There's nothing else, and it's
That's
new?
the only brand new release that made the top 20.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was number one. Not only was Elder Scrolls number one, it also instantly became the third best-selling game of the year, behind Monster Hunter and Assassin's Creed.
Why even make a new game? What's the point?
It's just, yeah.
It sold more units in April 2025 than the original game sold across the first 15 months.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It never surprises me.
Two biggest sales games coming up. GTA 6, Elder Scrolls 6. Watch out.
Yep.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you think you're interested in on this list?
GTA 5.
GTA 5?
Oh, yeah.
GTA 5 is there now.
Yep.
It's in 15th place, down from 12th.
Where?
Slipping.
All right. You always
know
say
what,
GTA 5. Always ask where's Minecraft, since they track it. I've been tracking it for months now.
Minecraft is at 4th place after that movie.
It's going up.
Kramer?
Yeah, it's Minecraft's getting the show bump just like Last of Us and Fallout did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that Fallout bump I remember was wild. Then they patched 4 or whatever.
And blew it up.
Remember?
Yeah.
That was a genius move.
There are a couple other very significant bumps that I'm sure you can guess.
Last of Us for sure. Part 2.
Actually, if it got a bump, it didn't make it to the top 20.
Ooh!
Yeah, it's
Oh, wait, no, it is.
number
No, it is. There's
15.
13th. There you go.
Got it.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was 23 last month.
Wait, something in April. So something else jumped high? Jumped up?
Yeah, we had some two big jumps.
I'm going to say a Devil May Cry
No.
or a Ninja
What?
Gaiden.
Xbox game that came out on PlayStation.
Get
You-
there. More.
Forza.
No,
Forza.
the other. That's
second place.
Oh, it's
Boom.
Forza. Okay, it's
Up
Forza.
from 42.
You got it. Okay, that was
Yep. But there is another one.
it. Wait, there's another one.
There is another one. Huber should know this.
What?
Because Huber did a video about it.
I did.
The PlayStation version of this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana
For
Jones.
some reason, I
Sixth
thought that was
place
like
from
this
118.
month.
Such a good game.
Yeah.
Did you
That
play
is a
that,
big
Kramer?
jump.
Indiana Jones?
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was
Oh my God.
Super
What a
fun.
gem.
It made me actually go back and watch all of the movies.
Hell yes. Do you have a favorite of the movies?
Oh, Last Crusade, of course.
Last Crusade.
Nice.
I love Indiana Jones because it reminds me of Metal Gear, where everybody says a different one, but they're all the best. Like you can pick, Raiders or Temple or Last Crusade. It's like, yeah, they're all amazing. Like, so cool.
Yeah.
You know what's really interesting about this list is that you can see very clearly how Xbox, their acquisition strategy is paying off for them. So they've got Elder Scrolls on here, they've got Forza on here, they've got Minecraft on here, they've got Indie on here, they've got Call of Duty on here,
Yeah.
they've got Elder Scrolls Online pop back up.
You're so right.
So it's when people are like, yeah, Phil's been on a tear. Phil and Sarah and Matt have been buying up studios left and right. When's that going to pay off for them? Right here.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
You ready for the full top 20?
Let's do it.
I'm expecting
All
lots
right.
of sports.
Yes, there are lots of sports still.
Yeah, MLB the show for sure, dude. April, yeah, because the season starts in March
Yeah.
/ April.
20th is Hogwarts Legacy. 19th, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, still hanging in there.
Nice. Goaty watch, dude. Look out, everybody.
18th, Elden Ring, still hanging in there. 17th, as Kramer said, Elder Scrolls Online got a bump up from 29th.
Was there an expansion? Is that, or is it just
There
because the
has
Oblivion
been
hype
one. There
too?
has been one, yeah. But
Yeah.
Oblivion would also, yeah. I don't know if the expansion was actually in April, but
Yeah.
I do remember there being one recently. 16th is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes.
15th is GTA 5.
Yes.
14th is Soccer Football Club 25. 13th, Last of Us Part 2. 12th, Split Fiction, still in there. 11th, Monster Hunter Wilds. 10th, PGA Tour 2K25. 9th, NBA 2K25. 8th, WWE 2K25. 7th is Call of Duty. 6th is Indiana Jones. 5, Assassin's Creed Shadows, still up there.
Yeah.
4, Minecraft. 3 for MLB The Show.
3 nice, yeah.
Just down one spot from last month.
No doubt.
And then we got Forza and Elder Scrolls. And then I got a couple notes I made here on the active users. Both RoboCop and Texas Chainsaw Massacre jumped up on active users on PlayStation because of PS Plus.
That's wild.
Yeah. RoboCop went from 111th place to 8th.
Wow.
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre went from 375 to 10
Dude.
because they were put on PlayStation Plus.
That's crazy.
And then a couple of other little quick sales things that weren't part of the report. Revenge of the Savage Planet has already gotten 1 million players. And Doom the Dark Ages has 3 million.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Very, very good. Yeah, Savage Planet's so fun.
You know, it's interesting because people are inventing budget numbers for GTA 6, right?
I know it was $2 billion for like 3 years, and now all of a sudden it's $1 billion.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
okay, everybody.
I'm sure by the time it launches, people are going to be like, this game cost $10 billion.
Yeah.
But you can see here, you know, with Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto still in the top 20 all these years later. Think about that. Those games, when did Red Dead 2 come out? That was like
2018.
Yeah, like almost 10 years ago at this point. And people are still buying that game. That's unheard of. So
Yeah.
even if GTA 6 does cost $1 billion, if people are continuing to buy that game, 5-6 platforms later, 10, 15 years after it comes out, it all balances out over time.
I love that.
Yeah. Was that meme? The PS2 got 3 GTAs.
Yep.
GTA 5 got 3 PlayStations.
Yeah. Such a funny one. It's so absurd. Oh my God. Meanwhile, yeah.
Also this week, I'll go ahead and do it since I don't know what you got going.
Dude, no, we're talking about it right now. Let me start with also this week. We're starting here.
Okay.
Rockstar Games.
What do you got?
More rumors.
Okay.
Finally. Just rumors for now, but it's picking up traction. Red Dead 2 finally going to get that next gen patch,
Okay.
which it is sorely lacking. We need this. Let's get it going. Also to bridge the gap to GTA 6 while we wait. And Grand Theft Auto 4 Remaster in the news again.
Oh, okay.
Potentially coming. These are supposed to be coming this year, said Game Reactor claims it had heard from sources close to Rockstar about this. There's also going to be a Switch.
That deli across the street.
There's
There we
also
go.
apparently going to be a Switch 2 version of Red Dead 2.
There you
those
go.
are
Yeah,
all the just rumors for now.
Guys, when you're in the booth having your lunch, don't talk about work. Don't do it.
Seriously.
Deli guy's gonna get
The
you.
deli, I know. Yeah, so hopefully, because GTA 4, more than any of it, it really needs it. It really, really needs it. Yeah, tough game to play unless you have like a Series X on a 1080p TV is like kind of it's rough. All right, Blood.
After 5 years of legal battles, Fortnite is back on the App Store.
That saga.
And
What a
you,
saga.
you can choose to use either Apple's payment system or Epic's, and Epic is giving like a 20% bonus and epic rewards or whatever if you go through their payment system.
And that's a result of the lawsuit, though, right? That you
Yeah.
can pay that
Yes.
way now. Yeah.
Yeah, all that.
And also because of a separate lawsuit in Europe that
Right.
Yeah.
against Apple.
Speaking of lawsuits, I went ahead and shifted this up. The FTC just dropped their case against Microsoft for acquiring Activision Blizzard.
There it is.
That thing had still been churning in the background.
Blood, your updates are legendary. Yep.
Yeah, so that whole thing is done now. I guess
Done.
They just lost an appeal a couple of days
What
ago.
an unceremonious
and now they decided
ending
drop
to
it.
this
Yeah.
saga. But you've been covering this so deeply for so long, and they're like, "Oh, you dropped it. It's done."
Well, remember all of the leaks about the freaking hardware that was supposed to be announced like this year or last year or whenever? Yeah, it was supposed to be last year, wasn't it? That we were
Yeah.
supposed to see the supposed Xbox Pro and the new
Yeah.
controllers and yeah.
Crazy.
It's funny when you get leaks of things that actually end up not happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Elden Ring movie just announced right before this podcast. A24. Alex Garland. You got to tell me what you think of that.
I love Alex Garland. Always. I always love Alex Garland.
Produced by Peter Rice alongside Andrew McDonald and Alan Reich from DNA. George R.R. Martin's got his name in there, of course, and Vince Gerardis.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I'm
don't
always-
know the. Nah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about an Elden Ring
Yeah.
movie.
Wrong reasons.
And what's
Yeah.
weird is so Garland just recently did an interview promoting the movie that he co-directed and produced, Warfare. I don't know
Warfare,
if you've
yeah.
seen that. It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
But somebody sat down with him, I think it was like GQ or Vanity Fair, and they ran through his entire career. And at the start of the interview, they're like, "We want to talk to you about the time you spent writing for video games." And he literally goes, "I don't want to talk about that." And he's like, he just bounced out. He's like, "Nope, we're gonna," and he kind of muttered some profanity under his breath.
Wow.
He worked with Ninja Theory on
Yeah. DMC and Enslaved, of course.
yeah, and
There's a,
evidently
that
it was
makes
not
more
a
sense. Yes.
must not have been a great experience for him.
Yeah, especially for DMC.
I'll defend those games
people,
till my dying breath.
Got a ton of shit for that game.
Yeah, I love those games.
For no fault of their own.
Yeah, I just don't know if, I will always be open to film or television adaptations of video games, always, and I try to see as many as I can because they're my two biggest passions on this earth. I think I'm a little more I'm anticipating the Zelda movie because Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was a slam dunk, and I love it, and I can feel that translating well to a Zelda movie now. But Elden Ring and like Souls in general is just so introspective, and like those games are quiet. They're very quiet games where you're just exploring and thinking deeply.
Huber.
So it's like hard to think about because it's going to be mainstream. This is not going to be some art house, even though it's like A24. It's going to still try to appeal to the masses.
Huber, so you know the popcorn bucket trend. So what about with the Elden Ring popcorn bucket? What if there is a randomized note stuck to the bottom of it, and everybody pulls off the note, and everybody has a different item description of a prop in the movie?
I love that. That's fun. That's like a little Easter egg hunt. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's Elden
But-
Ring. It's more likely you stick your hand in the popcorn bucket in a bear trap.
That's a
Cut your
mimic.
hand off.
Oh, God.
Yeah. We'll see, though. I mean, this is a franchise that is quickly getting McDonald'sed. So, big game, big expansion, multiplayer expansion, movie, probably an anime coming, comics. Like,
There might already be in it.
yeah. So,
I don't know.
heavily franchised. We'll see.
Yeah. Don, pull up this website. This is a pretty cool announcement this week. Lost in Cult has announced that they're going to start producing physical editions of games. So they've done a lot of like art books and things like that. A lot of cool, great work that they've done. Just like very like, yeah, again, like artsy, highly produced, like high concept stuff. And now they're kind of bringing that same style to these physical editions with lots of extra goodies and stuff. So it's very similar to like what Limited Run does and what I Am 8-Bit does. But they're also working with PM Studios just to bring these games with standard physical editions to retail as well.
Nice.
And so the first 3 games that they're going to be doing are Immortality, Thank Goodness You're Here, and Hobbs Barrow.
Very cool.
So pretty cool stuff.
That's a really nice Immortality.
Especially right now when there's been a lot of talk about, the discs that only have, or that make you, download the patch. You can't play them without downloading anything.
Yeah.
And the game key cards on Switch 2 and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see like another group jumping in on the physical publishing side, which is
That is very
not
good
easy.
news.
Yeah.
Very good news, Bloodworth.
Yeah. And then Damiani, we got lots of Mario Kart info on the Nintendo Asset Developer Series for Mario Kart World. Just a couple of highlights. This very long interview that's worth reading on Nintendo's website. One, they started prototyping this game in 2017.
Wow,
Hubert.
GTA 6 over here. Where are those
Wait, so is it-
headlines?
Originally for Switch?
Yeah, it was going to be a Switch game.
8 years. Why is nobody complaining?
They had felt like
Okay.
Mario Kart 8 had perfected the old formula, and they were working on World, but as you can imagine, they started to feel like it's like, okay, we're going to be able to pull this off or not kind of stuff. And then once they decided to start doing the booster courses for Mario Kart 8, then they're like, okay, this is going to give us...
This sounds familiar, like another
some-
game that went
some
through this
space.
trajectory. I think there was another Nintendo game called Breath of the Wild, and they did
Okay.
DLC, and they said it was getting too ambitious, so they made this game called Tears of the Kingdom instead, a sequel. Yeah.
So they moved it over to Switch 2. They even the like every part of this game they rebuilt. They said even the tools and their programming systems had been rebuilt from scratch, but they wanted to maintain like the same level of quality. They have some bits in there for Dawn about the water systems and making sure that the waves were reactive to what's going on. They were talking about like putting white caps at the top so people knew where to jump off of. They were talking about the visual design differences. So like, because Mario Kart 8 was all about the anti-grav stuff, they wanted everything to look sleek and futuristic. And with this, because you're going off-road and you go everywhere, they like talked about playfulness. And so they kind of like rounded off the designs of the karts and made everything like more animated.
Okay.
Same thing with the characters and like really wanting to lean into the activity and the chaos and all of that.
Good call.
The food mechanic
Yeah, I
was
love
put
this.
on hold for 2 years.
Love this.
Before they
Okay.
finally decided that it was something they actually wanted really to have in the game. And the reason went back to this whole idea of like this connected world. And they were like, well, we should have different things to represent different regions in the map. So like food was like, oh, okay, it's like we can have different types of foods for this area and different costumes for this area and all of that. So that's how the food mechanic came back in there. What was funny with that was they had to go back to Takashi Tezuka and they had to ask him, does Mario actually eat the mushrooms?
Oh, yeah.
They had to confirm whether it was like he actually
Brum, brum,
bit
brum.
out of them to transform. And then
Yeah.
that's kind of how they merged the costumes and the food together, because it's like, oh, you change costumes by transforming same way that Mario transforms by eating a mushroom. Now, if you eat a burger, you change into this. If you eat this, you change into that.
Did he ask if Mario eats everything else to change into it? Like, does he have to eat the feather? Does he have to eat the leaf?
Man,
to eat
that's
the
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mario's
and-
quickly becoming Kirby in this situation.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just inhaling everything.
I think, but the feather like showed up like somewhere else, right? Like he like, or that was the other feather, right? Where the feather would like he was wearing it.
One of them, it's like the
Oh,
cloud,
you mean
like,
in
boom.
Super Mario Land 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he grabs the feather, he actually like puts it on his forehead.
Yeah.
And then with the new racers, the cow and stuff that everybody loves, that was just like a goofy sketch that somebody made one day. They drew the cow driving a truck.
Now it's an icon.
And now all of a sudden they're like, hey, that's actually a good idea.
It's going to be one of the most used racers, guaranteed.
Yeah. And so then because of the cow, and they're like, okay, this is like a character that we never thought of as like a character that you would play as. Then they're like, okay, what other characters are out there that have just been in the background?
Yeah.
And that's how some of those other guys have gotten in there. So a lot more Mario Kart stuff over there. A couple more quick ones. Xbox added 50 retro classics to Game Pass from the Activision Blizzard library. This is I'm curious what Don thinks of this, because it's kind of a weird way that they've done this. So there's like a retro classics app. So it sort of works like the Switch Online, like the Super Nintendo app.
Yeah.
But then you don't actually download the games, even though they're infinitesimally small.
Yeah, you're just streaming
You're
it.
just streaming them with a partnership with
they're like
Stream Arcade.
5 megs. Let me just
Right.
that.
I
don't even
guarantee
think they're
these-
that. I think most of those Atari games are
Kilobytes.
in K, not M.
Yeah.
So wild.
Yeah. So, I don't know. What do you think, Don?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the selection of games so far wasn't impressive enough to justify the elaborate, interface that they've set up. It was stuff that's, commando, pole position stuff. It's like it's available in many different places. It's so far, if they get some like harder to find, or bigger ones, international exclusives, something like that, then it would be like pique my curiosity more. But it's a good start.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, and
More retros,
50
good.
right now, and I think they're like looking to get up to 100 in the short term.
Yeah, I love that.
Pitfall is in there. Mech Warrior 2 is in there.
Yeah.
River Raid.
Sick.
Yeah. Oh, and it has some extra features too, similar to the Switch Online stuff, where there is multiplayer, there is achievements, multiple saves, some other modern stuff.
Nice.
Hellblade 2 is next on the list, coming to PS5.
There it is.
Of
Holy
course.
moly.
This summer, and then of course everyone will get like updates that kind of like whatever they add to the game for PS5 is going to come to all platforms as well. Little bonuses and stuff.
Yeah.
And then finally, in an interview with Polygon, Tetsuya Nomura has confirmed that Sephiroth's sword, the Masamune, can change size.
Why do
Quote.
I feel like I've heard this before, though?
The Masamune's blade has an organic quality to it, lengthening and shortening as needed.
So it's a cyborg.
In the recently released second season of the first soldier arc in Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, there actually is a scene in which the Masamune grows longer for the first time. I would love for you to check it out. So there you go.
Wow.
Why is it a different size every time? Because he just decided that that was a lore way to explain to people making it a different size every time.
Holy moly.
Hey, might be important for the next remake part. Pay attention.
It's time for love and respect. Love and respect.
Respect.
Love it. Where is my standalone King's Blood? Where is it? Where is it, Damiani? From Kristen G. Rosario. Hey, allies! They say that the littlest of things brings up the most joy, and that's what happened with me during my time playing Astrobot a couple of weeks ago. The levels, music, and overall charm of the game make it an easy 10 out of 10 in my book. I agree, easiest 10. My favorite part of it, though, isn't any of that, but one little thing. And that's when you turn the camera to face Astro, and he gives a joyful wave to you.
So good.
I don't know what it is or what it was, but every time I see the little guy do that, or even think about him doing it, it brings an overwhelming sense of joy. It's so simple, yet perfectly conveys the heart and loving care Team Asobi put into this game. My question to you is this. Has there ever been a game you loved, but the tiniest thing it provided brought you the most happiness? When earliest I can remember is when Sonic taps his foot when you're idle. The
That's
Sonic idle tap.
Really good.
So looking at you,
Oh,
arms
that's a really
crossed,
good
like,
one.
let's go, bro. I gotta go fast.
Oh, that's really good.
The one I just thought of, the Super Metroid, Save the Animals. So the bird in the hole and the Edakuns that teach you those, like, you know, at the time, like, unheard of advanced techniques, right? It's like, wait, if I run really fast and I like push down, then I can rocket up? Like, what? And then the same thing with like wall jumping. It's probably the first game that I played other than like Ninja Gaiden, but Ninja Gaiden was different, right? Because you like stuck to the wall. It's like one of the first games that I had like a wall jump like that.
Yeah.
And like seeing these little guys do that and like having to follow their motions. It was so cool to have that presented through these weird little creatures that don't really do anything else, but it's not just like a tutorial prompt. And then for you to like get to the end of the game, you're rushing to get out of there. And if you just go into one little room that you don't have to go into, there they are, and you can get them out.
Awesome.
It's
so awesome.
Such a cool thing to think of.
Not an idle animation, but I think one of the cool things for me was in the Wind Waker, there's a part in one of the temples where you have to kind of like escort a living a statue you can command to life with the Wind Waker. And you can also, because you can possess it, but you can also like Link can call to it and have it follow him. And he says, "Come on." And I'm like, it's like, wait, Link just said, "Come on." Like Link spoke. I was like, it sounds stupid, but for someone like me, I was like, wait, Link never speaks. What the hell? And like, I started like telling everybody, and they're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, no one, like some people didn't care, but I was like, it was stupid, but I thought it was like a big deal because Link never speaks. And like, sure, you could argue like he's replying and stuff, but he gave a verbal response and it was understandable. And I was like, so for me, I was like going nuts, and I didn't feel like not a lot of other people thought it was that big of a deal, but I still love that moment and still always say it when like Link doesn't ever speak in games. Like technically he does. Oh, I'm not talking about like a written response. I'm like, no, he audibly speaks. Yeah.
You got any, Kramer?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed, in Mario 64, like all the things, he'd fall asleep and he kind of mumbled to himself, and,
good.
there were all those elements, and you see that because sometimes you put the controller down, walk away, and come back, you're like, oh, what's happening here on the screen?
Yeah.
It was cool to just see those little moments that help to reinforce the character, and and because it's Nintendo, of course, it was fully voiced. It had Charles doing little Mario things in there, and it was neat. It was already so amazing seeing that character in 3 dimensions, and now they're giving him even more life with like a voice and moves that don't relate to gameplay at all. It's very thoughtful.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy to think stuff like that too, which, how much of that he just improv, right? And now it like burned into our brains.
Yeah.
Definitely got to give a shout out to Kojima because I feel like this is his wheelhouse. So like obviously Psycho Mantis reading your saves, I think is like the coolest little touch ever.
Yeah.
Like freaked me out. And then one that I really think of though is the pull-ups in Metal Gear Solid 2. Like that is the coolest freaking thing. That it can increase your grip just doing a bunch of pull-ups. You would never even know to like do that. And you don't need to do it to beat the game, but
also he's like one of the few people to ever use a pressure sensitive button. Like you forget that even exists on a PS2, right?
Wild. Love it. From my Latin lover, hola allies. I love cheating, in games that is. Whether it's a duplication glitch, an XP exploit, or a cheesy overpowered build, I'm all for it. The delay of Grand Theft Auto reminded me just how legendary its cheat codes are. Spawning jets, tanks, or rockets just to get a 6-star wanted level and unleash pure mayhem is easily one of my favorite pastimes in the series. What's your favorite memorable glitch, exploit, or cheat code? Have you ever used one to save time, like the elixir dupe in FF7, or to cheese a boss? IDDQD, just because it's the coolest to say, is my favorite code. And ID Clip. These are in Doom, of course. ID Clip was so cool because it was truly the first time I ever saw the inner workings of a video game ever. Going through all the walls and the backgrounds and just seeing the layout of the map and stuff. It was like, whoa!
I tend to like things that are like goofy more than just like straight up like invincibilities and stuff like that. So that's why I really love a lot of the cheat codes in Turok. You know, where you like get the disco mode on and all the dinosaurs are dancing and stuff. Or like NBA Jam, where it's like, okay, you're Bill Clinton now. It's like, okay,
yeah. That was
insane. So insane, dude. Can you play that nowadays? Can you play as Bill Clinton in NBA Jam anywhere? Or do you need like a hardcore arcade cabinet of NBA Jam?
I don't know.
I mean, I think you could probably still with like a Super NES copy or Genesis copy, but I don't know. I don't know what the status is on like modern ports.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's strictly in the realm of emulation at this point.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely guess that. There are a lot of like, there's so many old glitches. What's the? I mean, I like a lot of the obviously like a lot of the Zelda ones, but also Mario 64 because you were talking about Mario 64 and it reminded me there was a really stupid glitch that had like no purpose, but it was the first glitch I found on my own. So it wasn't something I looked up online because as far back as like A Link to the Past, there were people posting on like the early internet in like the late 90s about these tricks. Like there was like Death Mountain Descent, which is like a glitch to beat the game without the Moon Pearl, and another one called the Explorer's Glitch or Exploration Glitch that let you get out of bounds and beat the game in 3 minutes. That used a thing falling off. But the one I found on my own for the first time was in Super Mario 64. There you can get on top of the castle, Princess Peach's castle. And looking at it on the far right side, the way that most people get up there, shoot up or try and get up there without the cannon the first time, there's a way to actually get up there without the cannon. Mario has an animation where if you walk off a ledge, he'll reach back and grab it and then pull himself back up. Oh, he'll dangle, and then if you tap, apply like pressure on the analog stick in the right direction, he'll pull himself back up. If you are like close enough to the edge of where the top of the castle is and where the wall of the environment is, and you do that, when he pulls himself off, he loses his hat, and it triggers the game over animation where the little Bowser silhouette zooms in on you and goes, ha, 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 ha. So I did that. I was like, wait, what? Because I was trying to get up there, trying like all my shenanigans to get up there. And it happened. I was like, wait a second, wait, what? How did I die? And so I would get back up there and like, replicated it. And I was like so excited. And I remember like trying to tell some people, and I was like, wait, did I discover a glitch? And then I had some like person on like a message board be like, let me see. And then he like came back to me a day later, goes, oh yeah, there's this like master glitch hunter or whatever who like he already did it like a week ago or something and like documented it. And I was like, I was like okay, cool. But I was like, this kid who like did this, I was like, this is so cool. Like so dumb though. It's no purpose. Just
Any codes you remember fondly, Kramer?
What I liked, going back to Mega Man again, was the mini boss. If you had the NES official joystick that had the slow-mo button, which was you'd hit that slow-mo button and basically all it did was like pause and unpause the game really fast.
Yes.
So you could shoot bosses with the thunder weapon and it would keep hitting them. And so you could just like pause and unpause, and you could, essentially one shot a boss if you were.
So awesome.
Yeah, Blaster Master had that too.
Love
Yeah,
that.
oh yeah, Blast
with the
Remaster,
grenades.
sure.
Yeah.
That reminds me when my brother and I were young, we had the Sega Genesis joystick with 6 buttons, joystick, because we were obsessed with Mortal Kombat. And it had a turbo button. Mm-hmm. So we used it for the test your might. You know?
Oh,
yeah.
So you just push the button and it's like the max power, dude. So OP. Love that. Any others in there?
That's it. I'm glad you reminded me of the NES Advantage one. I'd totally forgotten about
That's
that.
badass.
Specifically Mega Man. Yeah, that was so fun. I forgot about that. That was it.
Yep. All right, last one. No game today this week, so we're doing another question here from Harrison Holt, and it is on brand. Hey, LS. Over the weekend, I finished Grand Theft Auto 4. I'll clap for that. The story of an immigrant chasing revenge who quickly falls into organized crime. Shout out Nico Bellic, we love you. I really enjoy its serious tone. Me too. And I'd rank the narrative among Rockstar's best, if not for the ending. Ooh. Without spoilers, both GTA 4 and 5 offer major final choices that reshape the story. In GTA 4's case, I played both endings and felt one fit the game's themes perfectly, while the other felt flat and disconnected. It really does feel, in 5 as well, it feels like there's the true ending and then the other endings. Mm-hmm. Totally. GTA 5 is a similar issue, where not all endings feel equally meaningful. It even feels like some options were added more to please players than to serve the story, as if Rockstar wanted to offer a crowd-pleaser ending rather than commit to a stronger narrative statement. Looking ahead to GTA 6, it's easy to speculate how player choice might be built into the narrative we've seen in the trailers, but I wonder if that same focus on choice has kept the series from sticking the landing. Part of me hopes they go back to telling one strong story without splitting it across multiple outcomes. What do you think? Does player choice help or hurt GTA's endings, or am I overthinking it? I've got a lot of takes, so I'll let you all go first.
Yeah, I don't have any takes on GTA except since it's not a game that I see as making a lot of choices. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally get where they're coming from. It's like if you're going through most of this game and you're just following the beats, and then it's like all of a sudden like now choose the ending. It does feel sort of like that could be like a lack of commitment or something like that. Yeah.
Fair.
I also didn't like finish 4 either.
Yeah. Any takes on player choice / endings, Kramer? This is like the second we've talked about this. This has been big lately, of just player choice versus a fixed narrative.
Well, I mean, I have to admit, the last Grand Theft Auto I finished was Vice City.
Hell yeah!
So it's, I got really far in 4, but 5 for some reason, just 5 never stuck with me. I never actually played 5 long enough to open up the third character. So and like that's the guy that everybody loves from the game.
Trevor.
I've never actually played as Trevor in GTA. I would just I'd get a couple hours in and go, why do all these cars drive like marshmallows?
GTA 5 driving's flawless.
But I mean, there are like sometimes multiple endings can be fun. Like the first time I played Silent Hill 2, I accidentally got the very famous, very weird dog in the spaceship ending.
Oh my god!
And it was unexpected. I was just kind of playing it on my own. I was playing the gold disc before it was out commercially, and
it's amazing.
I got this ending, and I came in the next day, and I was talking to the guys I worked with at Konami. I was like, so I finished the game last night, and there was a dog on a bike pushing buttons, and I'm like, what happened? I think there's something wrong with the build. Talk about surprise and delight. That was sure not the way I thought Silent Hill 2 was going to end.
Yeah. As far as GTA goes, I do want to see how they evolve it in GTA 6, because 5 now, I mean, that was 12 years ago. Player choice has come so far since then. Even Red Dead 2 was, 7 years ago. And since then, it's evolved so strongly. But I really feel like Red Dead 2 is an improvement over GTA 5 in terms of player choice, because it is extremely fun to play Arthur as a man looking for redemption and playing it a little softer, or playing it like a hardened, bitter criminal that doesn't give a shit. Like, that is really fun, and throughout that game, you have moments to imprint on that in Arthur. So it's really fun. Like, very early, no spoilers, is like the debt collector or something. Like, somebody sees you and they're standing over the cliff and you have the chance to like kill him or let him go. And it's like, dude, no witnesses. Sorry. Like, take him out. Stuff like that is like really, really fun to think about.
It's kind of crazy to me because, like, on the one hand, I see like something like that would really be beneficial for GTA, because as we're saying, like, GTA 5 selling for so long, it would be great to have a lot of variation in there for, like, to encourage people to go back.
Yeah.
Or when they will go back, since we know that they will go back.
Yeah.
To have other options there. But at the same time, like, when you are something on the level of GTA that's so expensive, it's like adding in multiple
5 or 6 different
branches,
and
cutscenes that some people are never going to see, and all that is like, now you're just adding on and adding on,
budget
piles and
just
piles
keeps
of money.
going.
Yeah.
Well, I heard GTA 6 is going to cost $100 billion. So.
Oh, I heard it was like 83 billion. Oh.
Well, the extra $17 billion went into the 9 additional endings.
I will say I do have a soft spot for the GTA 5 ending choice because of Grumbomb. Grumbomb straight up murdered a main character because he didn't trust him, and I find that hilarious, and we still talk about it to this day. It is amazing. Well done, Grumbomb. He never went back. That was it. That's the only time he ever beat the game. That's his ending. That's his experience. So yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do with 6.
Yeah.
How hard they lean into that. Yes, for sure. By the way, before we get to this week's bets, Easy Allies patrons are getting 2 bonus love and respect questions at the end of the podcast, which we love so much, including one on video game peripherals, since the Switch 2 launch is just around the corner. Can you believe it? So if you want to get in on that extended cut, consider becoming a $5 patron at patreon.com/easyallies. You get the ad-free version of this podcast, and you get it 2 days early. So clutch. You get into the official Discord, and you can submit questions to Love and Respect. So get in there. We love you. We need you. We see you. So come hang out, support us, and be one with the allies. And if you really want to help us out, you can join one of our producer tiers. Our platinum producers get a shout out on this podcast each and every week. And this month's shout outs go to Jabawabs and El Thanis. Shout out.
Shout out.
Yes. Now come join us on Patreon for those bonus questions. Patreon.com/easyallies. It's time for bets. Terminator is a cyborg, or maybe he's not. Is he a cyborg or an android? Nobody knows.
I don't know.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. The only one who knows is our Lord and Savior, James Cameron. We need to ask him now.
Or the other writers.
No. I'm only asking Jim.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Now I know. Yeah, I always talk about this with the allies off camera. If I saw James Cameron, what is the one thing I would say or ask? You only get one thing. You don't want to be a pest. Now it is the Terminator a cyborg or an android? Done. That is it. I'm looking for you, Jim. Where are you? All right, this week's bet.
First of all,
yes.
Got to find out who Chris's point is going to go
Yes. Chris, so you can give your winning point if you do win the bet. You can give your winning point to one of us would you like me to tell you who is in the lead? Would you like me to give you the scores before you decide who you're giving the point to?
That information has relevance on
Yeah.
Or you can just straight up pick who you want it to go to. There's no wrong answer here.
Give me the rundown. I want to make sure that I'm integral to
Right.
somebody's success.
Yeah.
Just
So,
correct for that.
Yeah. So Dawn is in the lead with 6 points. A nice, comfortable lead.
Also, the longest cold streak. I haven't won since the beginning of the tournament, so it's like, who knows if I'm going to get another point.
This
you
is
may
true.
be giving me my last point I get in this thing.
This is true. Dawn has not won in a minute, but he is in the lead considerably with 6. Bloodworth and Isla are tied right behind that with 3. And then everybody else has, 1 or 2. Who are you vibing? Your picks
feel
are
like,
Dawn,
I feel like I
Bloodworth.
want to pledge more to the bottom of the pack because I think it'll have a bigger impact.
Okay, that would probably be
Sorry,
Gabby
Vaughn.
then.
I know you
Gabby
put
and
in
myself
I know
are
Don
on the
put in a
bottom.
request early, but sounds like he's doing all right.
Yeah. So between me and Gabby, who are you throwing it to? We're in dead last.
Let's give it to Gabby.
There it is.
Nice.
All right. So,
This week's bet, which I have not written down. So
yes. This week's
Run
bet.
this back for me.
Yes, this week's bet is Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny. Came out today. This time next week on twitch.tv, how many streams will there be? Not how many viewers, how many actual channels will be streaming Onimusha 2? First up, the arrogant child, Damiani.
I'm gonna go with 4.
Okay. And Chris Kramer, you for Gabby. And yeah, for on your behalf.
I feel like 4 is really low. I want to say like 50.
50.
50.
Stay above 50. Love that. Bloodworth, the wicked worm.
I'm at 23.
23. Punish Castellanos, Dawn.
I'm going 8.
8. The strange Valentine, Gabby.
Nice spread.
And the Fancy Stars member humor. I have no faith with the public's love for Onimusha. I said 7.
Whoa.
Yep.
Okay.
Not until the new one. Not until, like Damiani sang, if Way of the Sword is good, he will then hop back into the old ones. But right now, I just don't trust anyone's taste. All right. Last week's bet, TMNT Splintered Fate, came out on the 20th. We will be talking about that next week. Please be excited.
Wait, Splintered Fate? You're talking about the PlayStation version of Splintered Fate?
Yes.
Because Tactical Takedown was
Tactical
today.
Takedown is today.
Yeah.
And then Splintered Fate. See, okay, Blood.
It's not relevant to the bet, but I
No.
do think that
Yeah.
that happened.
It does, yes. Because there are so many Turtles games, and they're all coming out at the same time. Did I get this wrong? It came out in
But no.
May 20th.
May 20th for
There it is.
PlayStation. Yep.
Yes. So we're still good.
There was Switch last year.
Yes.
Mobile before that.
Yes.
Yep.
So I got the name wrong. I apologize, but it doesn't change the.
I mean, you got the date right. You looked up the right
Yeah.
game. You just were not thinking of that game.
Yeah. But Splintered Fate, we're gonna be talking about Tactical Takedown next week. Thank you. Splintered Fate came out on the 20th. This time next week, how many pizzas will we see on the TMNT Twitter account? Images, emojis, words, all counted. Damiani said 9. John Gibson, for Isla, said 8. Isla said 22. Dawn and Bloodworth were both out. Gabby said 10. I said 4. The winner is me. Because the @TMNT account has not posted since November 2023.
Like, of all the things that you,
Wow.
when I did bets and you accused me of shady dealings,
Wow.
man, like,
Hey, we did
nobody would have expected. If they had looked at that TMNT account, they would have seen.
We all looked.
Like-
We all looked.
Oh my.
Did you?
We all looked right at it. We were looking at it.
Okay. You all thought that they would suddenly revive.
Yeah.
And start posting after all of these other TMNT games came out and had no posts.
You know, TMNT's hot right now.
Okay.
You know, it's hotter now than it was a year ago. Maybe they're firing up the engines, blood. If anybody wants
to fire up a social media manager.
Right.
Dude. Yo, TMNT. Give me a call. Let's go. I'll do that, dude. TMNT hype. All right, which brings the scores to Punish Castellanos Dawn 6.
Dispatch, I need backup here.
And the Fancy Stars member me with 2. Don't open the door. All right. Chris, thank you so freaking much for joining us and being here. Can you tell people where they can find you and what they should check out?
You can find me on Blue Sky. I am Chris Kramer PR on Blue Sky, and same thing on LinkedIn. I am part of Amir Satvat's amazing community of volunteers. So I help out with a little bit of career coaching and stuff like that. So if people are trying to figure out how to get into the games industry, I would say right now is not a great time. But if you're looking for tips or pointers, go track down Amir's site, and you can find literally thousands of people who can help mentor you and give you some advice and recommendations for how you too can someday be on an Easy Allies podcast talking about all the nonsense games you've worked on.
Yes. Thank you. We also have new previews up for Sega games on Switch 2, Lies of P Overture, and the Altars.
Yeah.
And we'll keep shouting it out. One of the last calls here. We're getting dangerously close, everybody. The EZA SGF meetup. Pay attention. Listen. Write this down. Thursday, June 5th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Good People Coffee Co. on Santa Monica Boulevard. Go to patreon.com/easyallies for all the details. That's Thursday, June 5th at 11 a.m. at Good People Coffee Co. on Santa Monica Boulevard.
And we got something special.
We do. Somebody's taking home a prize.
Someone's taking home a prize. Don, put this up for the viewers. When I went to Poland,
Good grief.
there was something in everybody's room when we got there. And they took scientist Jan and they turned him into a body pillow.
So funny.
And then they were like, it's going to be really fun to see how you all get this home. And I'm like, I don't think I'm even going to, I have a carry-on. Like, I don't know what you think I'm going to do.
Case.
I'm not going to carry this through like the Vienna airport and explain it to customs or anything. But then we realized like, oh, there's a pillow, there's a zipper on the pillowcase.
Yeah.
So he just took the case off the pillow, and now I've got this case. So somebody that comes to that meetup will get this pillowcase. You have to get your own body pillow. What's funny is
the Altars pillowcase that the patrons have been waiting for. Blood.
Yeah,
absolutely.
you have to describe it, Huber, for the listeners.
It is Jan, one of the main character of that game, double-sided, by the way, lounging, wearing just a robe.
I think that's a lab coat.
A lab coat.
Yeah.
Definitely showing a little bit of skin. Mm-hmm. In good taste on one of the sides. The other side might be a little not safe.
There are like fluffy, like there's like handcuffs on his feet, but they're like they've got like padding.
Oh yeah, it's like sex handcuffs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call those.
There's also like a
what
little.
kind of podcast have I agreed to be on?
Yeah.
This is 11-bit Studios fault here.
I think I was supposed to leave before this segment. So.
He's also got a unicorn hat that he's wearing and a little fluffy sheep right in the middle there.
Love it. Love it. I can't wait for the altars, dude.
Yeah.
So
But the other side,
not safe.
maybe not so safe.
Not safe. And next week, Elise Willems will be here on the desk, so be sure to tune in for that. That's gonna be delightful.
Yeah.
We've
been working on this for a while. We've been trying to get the date locked down. I'm afraid she's gonna have to bail again, but we'll see.
The pendulum has swung.
I gave her a code.
The pendulum
she's
has.
Gonna play something for
That's
us.
great, Blood. I don't care about that. The pendulum has swung towards Android. We're gonna ask her cyborg take.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe she can swing it back. I don't know, but we're definitely leaning towards Android now. Damn it. Whole life, dude. Your whole life you believe something, and then everyone thinks you're crazy. Alrighty, to myself, I get to shout out to anything or anyone that's on my mind. I get the final word, and I get to sign off with my trademark sign off. Shout out to Capcom. Shout out, dude. Chris Kramer, man. Shout out to almost single-handedly making Resident Evil a more difficult game here in the West for the better. I want to thank you for that. Because getting through that challenge as a child was very impactful for my entire gaming taste and my future gaming life. So thank you.
Did it for the kids.
Yeah. What's on my mind? Just cyborgs and androids. We're going to figure this out. We're going to get to the bottom of it. And sign off. Love and respect, and SGF is coming. We got a lot of good games coming, a lot of good coverage coming. Very excited. Always one of the most fun times to be a part of this community and Easy Allies. So I hope everybody has been playing a lot of good games, getting ready for all of the games that are about to potentially shadow drop or be dated for the rest of this year. A lot of brand new things that we maybe have never even heard of. So yeah, SGF, and I can't wait to see all of you that are going to be at the meetup. So heck yeah. Thank you so much. Love and respect, and we'll see you next week.
I love the first one.
Never mind. Never mind.
The abort button was pressed
Never mind.
so quickly.